Oilers Nation to YouTube, Facebook, and X. If you're watching on Instagram, good news. You found the Sports 1440 account. Thank you for tuning in today. My name is Connor Halley. I'll be sitting in for the vacationing Jason Gregor for one more week. We got Declan Kruger and Donovan Paulson along with us for the ride. A very busy show. A whole lot of things to get to on the program. We've got trades. Just breaking right now. We've got trades from over the weekend. We've got Elks victory, NFL preseason, English Premier League, a whole lot going on in the sporting world. So we do appreciate you tuning in today. Of course, you can always reach us at EUL inbox 1-833-401-1440. Score with your power play partners as EUL gets you ready for all your electrical needs at ewell.ca with 24/7 ordering and shipping in Edmonton and across Alberta. The show, as always, brought to you by playalberta.ca. Lots of fun futures in the NFL. You got Major League Baseball. Tons to get to at playalberta.ca. Use your game sense as always. Today on the show, like I said, a variety of topics we will get to on the program. To kick things off, former NHL general manager and coach Pierre Maguire will be by. Right now, you can hear him on the Sick podcast. Also, Cam Tate heading into year 45. We call it year 46, maybe, in sports media. We'll talk about, whatever he wants to. Cam Tate has the space and the time, and he'll take advantage of it. Christopher Price will be by. He covers the New England Patriots for the Boston Globe as they head into a new era. Once again, they've moved on from Mac Jones. They've got a new head coach, Bill Belichick, out the door. The New England Patriots, how are they looking with Drake May and company, and will he be the guy? We'll find out soon enough. Sticking with football, Mark Corte, Edmonton Elks center, will join us. Lots to talk about. The Elks offensive line has been absolutely dominant the last few weeks here. The running totals are outstanding. Just under 600 yards in their last 3 performances. No surprise, all wins, 9 scores on the ground. So we'll talk to Mark Corte about that. And, the difference in going from Trey Ford to McLeod Bethel-Thompson with their playing styles and just how they've been able to adapt and do so well. Andy Petrillo of CBC Sports and One Soccer will join us. She did reach out, I believe, to Canada Soccer about the whole scandal that happened at the Olympics with the women's national team. We'll see if she's an update there and a lot more topics involving Canadian soccer. Also Spector and then Kevin Woodley. We had a trade request in the NHL. We'll see what's going to happen with the NHL goaltending and a whole lot more with Kevin Woodley later on in the show. Like we said, the text line 1-833-401-1440. Delta Valley Jeff. What a rolling intro, boys. Love me some Toto. Yes, that is Declan Kruger. He's always got something cooking when it comes to the intro songs. I don't know if there's going to be a game related to the intro this week, Declan, or starting today. Maybe you can fill people in on that one. But last week you just went alphabetical and fooled us all.
Started right now. Yeah, new game. Last time it went alphabetical by artist. New game this time. So, pretty excited to play it just amongst myself and for people to lose interest after 2 songs, but gonna stick with it.
Africa,
stay true to myself.
Toto was the first song. So we'll see what happens here. This one is interesting. You kind of dropped it on us last time and I didn't really pick up on the game. Now I'm in full swing. So I'll be listening to every song that starts to try to figure out what exactly you are doing. Of course, the news in the NHL over the weekend for the Edmonton Oilers. A couple moves being made. Cody Ceci and a 2025 third-round draft pick heading to San Jose for defenseman Ty Emberson. Ty Emberson, if you don't know, actually was under Coach Knobloch out in Hartford with the Wolfpack for a season. That season, he was voted the toughest defenseman to play against. So shutdown defenseman in the Eastern Conference. Spent a couple of years in Wisconsin as a captain, was teammates with Dylan Holloway, who we think is a member of the Edmonton Oilers for the time being. We'll see what happens in about a day. But Ty Emerson joins the Oilers. Cody Ceci and a third-round pick going the other way. That creates a little bit of cap space for the Oil. You also had a draft pick being sent out to Vancouver. I didn't necessarily think we'd see a trade between the Oilers and the Canucks, especially so soon. But a 2025 4th-round pick heading to Vancouver for Vasily Podkolzin. Podkolzin, when you go back and look at his draft, he was the 2nd-ranked European skater. Went to the Canucks with the 10th overall pick, and a lot of Canucks fans say he just needs an opportunity, maybe some better breaks. Well, if he gets a chance to play for this Oilers roster, he's certainly going to get his chances to put the puck in the back of the net. We'll talk to Kevin Woodley about that later on the show as he does cover the Vancouver Canucks for NHL.com. And then this news just breaking, the Montreal Canadiens going out and acquiring the services of Patrik Laine from the Columbus Blue Jackets. Patrik Laine, I mean, we've all heard a lot about him in his career. 480 games played, 204 goals. when he burst onto the scene as a rookie at 36 goals, 44 goals, 30 goals, 28. Then there was some issues going to Columbus. He had some off ice problems, mental health concerns. It looks like he's doing better now, which is fantastic to see. But he is heading to the Montreal Canadiens this season. And pretty big statement from Don Waddell saying basically, if a guy doesn't want to be here, we don't need him. And that forced the hand. So the Canadiens get Laine and a 2026 second round pick from Columbus for defenseman Jordan Harris, 24 years old. Not on the bigger end, but the Columbus Blue Jackets obviously wanted to make a move, and they certainly did so here. Perplexed Oilers fan texting in here. I don't remember anyone getting mad at Tampa for getting up. He always gave Tampa great deals. Are people mad about the Oilers getting deals from San Jose? San Jose got a pretty serviceable defenseman in Cody Ceci and a third-round pick to take on a little cap space for the Oil. I don't see the bad move. I think, your thoughts on Cody Ceci as a player aside, good guy in the room. We know he was beloved by his teammates here in Edmonton. If he goes to San Jose as a third pair guy, second pair guy in a pinch, who knows? Maybe they'll be so desperate they throw him up to the first pair. I don't think this is a bad move for San Jose. He's an RFA after the upcoming season, or unrestricted free agent, after the upcoming season. That's okay. I don't think anyone should be mad about San Jose, air quotes, helping the Edmonton Oilers. I don't think that's exactly what happened on this one. I got a little picture in from Rusty, the old Barney Gumble meme, kicking him out of the Elks organization, and all of a sudden he's right behind Mo Sislak. Yeah, he's back in the CFL with the Hamilton Tiger-Cats defensive coordinator, scalding Gord. Laine to Montreal. They are definitely the one to beat out of the Canadian-based teams now. Wink, wink. Carmen says, like you guys said last week, there's no way we let Broberg go. We will match after these moves, KG. Yeah, when Podkolzin was brought in from Vancouver, I thought, well, that's the end of Dylan Holloway. They got someone who they can put in there and try to have some offensive upside. Dylan Holloway can walk, get his money from the St. Louis Blues. And then the Cody Ceci move happened, and I thought there's a hole on your blue line. You almost have to keep Philip Broberg. $4.5 million. We'll see. Maybe you think that's too much. Maybe it is right now. I mean, it's a heck of a raise if the Oilers decide to keep Philip Broberg, which it kind of looks like they will do. But maybe in a year's time, it's not so bad. Maybe that's a number that for the 2025-2026 season, we say, okay, that's a decent deal. If Philip Broberg can find a spot on that second pairing and play well. I will say, though, 80 regular season games, 20 more in the playoffs. He is so young into his NHL career. There's going to be some ups and downs. So we'll see how he handles it. I know during the regular season on pre- and post-game shows, we're going to have some nights where he probably gets, a fair amount of criticism. I think he's going to have those tough games, as most NHL players do, and people will relate to that money. But I mean, I think I want to give it that full season to see what it's looking like. And then going into year 2 of the deal, $4.5 million. Hey, maybe it's not looking so bad. But as we addressed on this show, you got to sign Evan Bouchard. There's still Connor McDavid, who's going to get paid, obviously, pretty much whatever he writes. But blank check, take what you want. You got to keep Connor McDavid and then Leon Draisaitl. So I am interested to see how this plays out. Maybe the Oilers are just creating some more cap space. Maybe they let them both walk still. Then you go into the trade deadline with a little bit of space to make some moves. You'd have a second and a third round pick added to make, if you want to bring someone in. So I don't know if it necessarily means for sure that Broberg and Holloway will be coming back, because it'd be very simple to keep them both at this point, but certainly something to talk about. 1-833-401-1440. The burglar, I'm sorry. He texted in earlier. How's Gregor going to respond to these offer sheets? Well, Gregor's off for another week. I don't know exactly what he's doing, but he is taking a little bit of a break here, recharging the batteries. We know when he comes back on next Monday, he's going to be fired up to talk about these Edmonton Oilers. Hontoria Momes, Nurse still has tough games. A lot. Yeah, and we get that salary pointed out to us quite a bit, Hontoria Momes. So I'm thinking if the same things happen with Philip Broberg, it won't be to the extent of Darnell Nurse, but I think we're going to have some criticism going on for sure. Scalding Gord says, Declan's playing chess against us checkers. Yeah, well, we'll see what the next song is. The first song was Africa by Toto. So I'm thinking maybe it's locations. Maybe he's going alphabetical, starting with an A. I don't know, Declan. You've got some people intrigued here for sure, though.
It's so lame. It's such a lame one I chose today, and I've done it to myself, and people are going to be disappointed, and I'm just going to keep playing these little dumb games with myself, and people are going to start to care so much less, but I'm invested now. Like I said, got to stay true to myself and got to stick with it.
I respect that about you. You're not going to fold. You're going to keep going here. Maybe there will be some mockery. We'll find out. Got to give a quick shout out to everybody tuned in on YouTube right now. Today's video title, Cody Ceci is a San Jose Shark. A lot of people tuning in here. I see Owen Andrew, the MH winner, Penner's Pancakes, Deskra, Ryan, Pardelsky, Jackal, Coach C. Appreciate you guys tuning in here. Make sure you hit that like button if you could do so. Goes a long way for us. We always appreciate that one. Also got to touch on the Edmonton Elks just a little bit here because they are now winners of 3 straight games. I mean, that playoff spot, they're right back into it. It does appear. And this team is playing better football. I said it a few times. I'll try to stop saying this, but I always felt once they got win 1, a couple more would trickle in just because things weren't as bad as we thought it were. We always, living in the moment. It's never as bad. It's never as good. You got to kind of find that sweet spot. They lost a bunch of games by 3 points at the end of games, dumb mistakes. And I think they've kind of found a way to rid themselves of that for the most part. They're getting defensive turnovers. They're getting stops when they need it. They're winning the field position game, which is crucial, and making plays when they need to. And the balance in the game on Saturday night against Hamilton Tiger Cats, especially, the way that game started. I'm sure the Tiger Cats were a little bit rattled with their teammate going down and there's the 30-minute delay, whatever it was exactly. But the Elks came out there, played strong. That second quarter, putting up 25 points. McLeod Bethel-Thompson, very good. I mean, that's the guy I think you can expect when you have the support around him. The running game was terrific. Justin Rankin, we had him on the show last week. Very, very impressive young player. 17 carries, 108 yards for 3 touchdowns. Javon Leake, in the limited reps that he had a touchdown and 12 yards. Eugene Lewis was getting a little bit more involved in the offense. I think that's what we should become accustomed to. 8 targets for Geno Lewis. 5 receptions, 93 yards. Curly Gittins getting into the end zone, as did Dylan Mitchell. When you look at this Elks receiver room, there's some really nice pieces here. Hergy Mayala had a great catch. Dangerous throw from the quarterback, but he put it in a spot where only Mayala could get it. He brings it down. It was just a very impressive game from the Edmonton Elks. Obviously, next week will be a task that's going to be very tough going into Hamilton, taking on the Tiger Cats. But game number 1 under their new owner, winning 47-22. And I ran through some of the yards just in terms of rushing. And I thought that Trey Ford, just getting into the game, really opened things up for this team. The Elks offensive lineman kind of getting that confidence, that swagger back. In the last 3 games, 598 yards, 9 touchdowns, averaging just over 40 points a game. So the Edmonton Elks playing their best football of the season. First time they've won 3 games straight since the 2018 season. So it goes back quite a way. Lots of texts coming in. He played Africa for his boy, Adesanya getting choked out, and the real African winning the belt, Spaghetti. Was there a tough result for you over the weekend in UFC, Declan?
Yeah, a bit of a sticky one in it. Don't want to get into it too much, but not a good weekend for the Israel Adesanya loyal fan club.
Yeah,
that I myself do president. Not a good weekend.
He was quite hyped, wasn't he?
Listen, he was 20-0 to start his career. Since 2021, he's 4-4. He's fallen on hard times. He's older. The game's evolved a little bit. He didn't take maturity in, some of the areas he needed to, specifically his ground game. Never had much of an offensive ground game, defensive ground game. It was very weak. His guard play was very weak, and it's just kind of caught up with him. And that's what happens when you're 35 years old. It is what it is.
Hey, man, I'm 37. Getting out of bed is tough for me sometimes. So getting punched in the face, I think, like I said, I'd probably just fall to dust and it'd be over. So, I'm sorry to hear that, Declan. On our YouTube chat here, we did have a text coming in or a message bringing up Rourke's return from Deskra. And yeah, Nathan Rourke, for some people, could have been an NFL starter in their eyes. Could have been. Well, what happened last night for Nathan Rourke wasn't good. And it's early. There's lots of football left to be played. Nathan Rourke, I'm sure, is going to bounce back and be okay. But the BC Lions falling to the Winnipeg Blue Bombers 20-11 in his return. Not great. 8 of 25, 126 yards, 2 interceptions, average of 5 yards through the air. And that's with a 39-yard completion. So outside of that 39 yards, maybe not the most efficient game for Nathan Rourke in his return, making a good chunk of cash. But Declan, we've seen this before. You can't overreact after one game. First game back, didn't have too many days of practice. I think with more reps, we're going to see a whole lot of progression and better football from Nathan Rourke.
I would agree. I mean, he has the talent to do that. And like you said, you can't come in, one day, not have the reps, not have the practice, and just assume you're going to be Patrick Mahomes. It doesn't work like that. But no, he's a very good quarterback. He's very talented. He's a high IQ for the game. I highly expect him to return to form and be one of the premier quarterbacks in the league in very short time.
A couple more texts before we get to break. Tyler H. says, guys, is there anyone on the free agency market? Maybe a Tyson and Barry to play second pairing. Let Broberg walk, use that pick of the deadline to upgrade them. Or is there someone else out there looking for a cheap one-year deal? Well, Tyler, Tyson Barry's been a very popular name. Throw him out there, right-handed blue liner. I think he's liked on this team, obviously. Spent a few years here. What the defenseman in scoring, I do believe, one season. Can anchor a power play. Another name that's a familiar name was Justin Schultz that people have brought up quite a bit here on our text line. So I don't know. I think, when it comes to having those two players or a Philip Broberg, I'd much rather keep Philip Broberg, but I get there's reasonings behind why you might go the other way. Hang on to the picks that you would receive in compensation and maybe try to upgrade at the deadline. Stanley says, we let Vinny go because we have no money, but we're going to play Broberg $4.5 million. Vinny has proven himself. Broberg is unproven. Stanley. Well, yeah, Philip Broberg was pretty dang good on the biggest stage, right? We saw him come into that series against Dallas, and he didn't look like he didn't belong. So I guess that's a roundabout way of saying he looked like he belonged. And then we saw him in the Stanley Cup final, where I, again, didn't think he looked out of place. So smaller sample size, stressful sample size for him, but I thought he did very well. So the Vinny money would not have been anywhere near what Broberg's money was. So we'll have to wait and see. I don't know. In a day or so, we'll see what actually happens. And then going off that, we'll have to wait pretty much a calendar year to really see if Philip Broberg panned out at that cost and what side it would be the winner or the loser. Hey, Connor, what have you heard about Trey Ford and his injury? From Elvis, chest. as a football team does, they're keeping those injuries very tight-lipped. Haven't heard too much as of yet. We'll keep an eye on the practices and see what we can report to you. But right now, just getting chest injuries, and I'm sure he'll be limited this week. And then, we'll see what happens with Montreal. But hey, McLeod Bethel-Thompson was on point. He was accurate. He was making good decisions. I think the Elks, as long as they can keep this running game going, McLeod Bethel-Thompson is someone that can help and help his team win some football games. The Journal reports the league is mad and everyone helped Edmonton. Perplexed Oilers fan. Who's everyone? I mean, the Vancouver Canucks wouldn't help Edmonton. They made a move. They gave a guy a fresh chance, got a draft pick. Like I said, the San Jose Sharks, they got a guy who I think is going to help them this year. And it's only 1 year. It's not like they're taking on a huge, massive contract. It's not the Patrik Laine $8.7 million contract. It's 3.9 for 1 year. I'll have to go double check that. But like for Cody Ceci, 1 year and it's gone. He's going to help out the young players on that team. And I don't think anyone would be surprised if Cody Ceci is traded at the deadline to a team that is looking to go on a bit of a run. So yeah, I don't think the San Jose Sharks helped anyone. I think they made a move to try to better their team. And at the same time, the Edmonton Oilers benefited from said move. Mike from Kindersley, Saskatchewan. If Broberg doesn't play at the top of his game all year, the pitchforks and torches will come out in full force. I'm with you. And it's going to happen. We've seen it before. I hope Philip Broberg doesn't become the whipping boy if he does end up staying in Edmonton, but it does tend to happen. We've seen it many, many times. I can remember going back to the Tom Pody days. The older fans can probably remember even further than that. There's always someone. And one last one before we get to break here. From Honest Dad says, hi guys, I'm thinking Broberg is hoping to end up in St. Louis. He already had asked to be traded, back in December, and we all know what our fan base can be like to underperforming D-men with big contracts. He could end up being a pretty rough ride here. It is possible. He could play very well, and Oilers fans could say, hey, that was a pretty good deal. $4.5 million for that for a second pairing defenseman. Not too shabby. It's all about how he plays, and unfortunately, we just don't have the answer to that one right now. Keep those texts coming in here, 1-833-401-1440 to the eWell inbox. Lots to get to on this show today. Of course, we got Spec. We got Kevin Woodley coming up later on in the program. Andy Petrillo to talk some soccer. Mark Corte, Edmonton Elks Center. Christopher Price of the Boston Globe will be by to talk about the New England Patriots. We got Cam Dates, 2-minute warning. Coming up next, former NHL general manager and coach. You can hear him now on the Sick podcast, Pierre Maguire. It is the Jason Gregor Show here on Sports 1440 and Oilers Nation YouTube and Facebook, brought to you by PlayAlberta.ca.
My utility bills are going through the roof. How can I take advantage of the sun and put my lazy roof to work?
Sounds like a job for the men and women of Action Electrical.
Energy team reporting. When you're ready to make your home or business more efficient, Action Electrical has the power to install solar panel systems and EV chargers.
Facing an electrical menace? Call on the men and women of Action. Operating throughout Alberta with supercharged skills and strong family values. ActionElectrical.net.
You adore your Audi, value your Volkswagen, baby your Beamer. But some of that love fades when repairs take several days and tons of cash for the dealership to do their magic. Let Cochran's Automotive rekindle the flame. They'll professionally repair your import, usually in one day. Audi, BMW, Mercedes, Volkswagen, Honda, and Toyota. Cochran's Automotive will return her to mint condition. Open at 7 a.m. Let Cochran's Automotive repair your automotive air conditioning before things heat up. Cochran's Automotive, 780-452-5001.
Jonathan and Murray are friends.
Hey, buddy.
Hey, buddy. Except when they talk about which stadium is more fun in the summer.
Dude, Commonwealth has Elks Fan Park. Tailgating at its finest.
But it can't compare to the old ballpark in the River Valley. Riverhawks games are electric. But ask them who makes the best beef jerky in Alberta, and they'll tell you.
Wilhauk Beef Jerky.
It's the only thing everyone can agree on. So pick some up for your summer pregame snack.
Wilhauk Beef Jerky, because you don't win friends with salad. It's the Brick Summer Sleep Event. There's never been a better time to save big on bedroom items, like up to 50% off select mattresses and up to 40% off select pillows, so you can get a great night's sleep without breaking the bank. And take up to $300 off select major kitchen appliances. Plus, from Friday to Monday only, buy mattresses starting at just $149 and fabric beds starting at just $199. Some exclusions apply. See in store for details. The Brick, saving you more.
The Toronto Blue Jays are on Sports 1440. Every weekend, catch all the action with play-by-play announcer Ben Schulman. The Blue Jays, this Saturday and Sunday on Sports 1440. Edmonton's home for all things sports.
There's still time to book your tournament at the Ranch Golf and Country Club.
As one of Alberta's top tourney courses, the Ranch makes hosting fun and easy for any group or business. No matter how unique or unusual, they'll accommodate your vision for an event no one will soon forget.
Start planning your tournament today at their beautifully landscaped course on the outskirts of West Edmonton. On-site event coordinators are here to help, but hurry, availability is limited and booking fast.
Visit theranchgolf.com.
Hey, it's Brad McCory here from St. Albert Dodge. Our August month-end blowout is now on. So until Saturday, August 31st, we won't say no to any deal. And here's what we have to offer. 20% off new 2024 Ram 1500s, no payments for 90 days on selected vehicles, and how's this? A brand new Jeep Compass 4x4 for only $37,000. If you're looking for a new vehicle, don't buy until you talk to us. Head up the trail and see how easy it is to do business at St. Albert Dodge.
Be melon jolly, not melancholy. Summer is ripe for fun, and some Booster Juice bestsellers are back in season. Watermelon smoothies, including the refreshing Watermelon Wave, a berry burst of strawberries, raspberries, pomegranate, and vanilla frozen yogurt. And fan favorites, Watermelon Explosion, a refreshing burst of bananas, mangoes, and pineapple, both made with watermelon sorbet and probiotic yogurt. All of the watermelon, none of the seeds. Visit a Booster Juice near you today, or download the Booster Rewards app.
Here's Dr. Vance Elliott to talk about Advanced Hair and Skin Surgery's new website.
We needed to spruce things up a bit and give it a modern look.
Sounds like your website needed a little surgery.
Exactly. It's easier to navigate, much more user-friendly, has an updated patient gallery, and answers to the most commonly asked questions.
There's even a section about you.
I want you to know my story, so you'll be confident that I'm the right doctor to help shape your story.
To learn more, check out the new website at drvanceelliott.com.
Legacy Heating and Cooling is your supplier of maximum comfort, bringing you the cool AC you need. You just have to
call Legacy. Call Legacy.
For comfort at night when the hot air suffocates you.
Call Legacy. Call Legacy.
For comfort in your wallet with no payments or interest for 1 year.
Call Legacy. Call Legacy.
You deserve comfort. Cool off today with AC from Legacy Heating and Cooling.
YouTube and Facebook pages. Connor Halley sitting in, Declan Kruger, Donovan Paulson alongside with me, coming to you live from the eWell studio. A reminder to get those texts in 1-833-401-1440 on a variety of topics. We can talk NHL, CFL, NFL, MLB, maybe even some mixed martial arts, whatever it is you want to talk about. Get the questions and comments in. Also, big thank you to our sponsor, playalberta.ca. Head over, have some fun right now. Use promo code SUMMER. You get a free $50 casino credit when you deposit a minimum of $5. That's at playalberta.ca. Make sure to use your game sense. Right now, we'll go around the NHL, brought to you by McDonald's. You can get $1 or $1 cones, $2 sundaes topped with either hot fudge or caramel sauce. Get your cones and sundaes today at McDonald's. We bring in Pierre Maguire from the Sick Podcast, former NHL coach, GM, and scout. Pierre, good afternoon. Thank you so much for doing this today. How are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic, Connor. Nice to visit with you.
Absolutely. Good to have you on the show here today, as there's a variety of topics. But first things first, let's just ask you about the offer sheets in the NHL. And last week, we obviously saw that one. We know the Oilers have another day to decide about what they're going to do with Philip Broberg and Dylan Holloway. Do you think you'd like to see more GMs utilize the offer sheets in the offseason to try to pry guys away from teams and, I kind of spice up the NHL offseason just a little bit more, because we were kind of in a lull, but the St. Louis Blues and Mr. Armstrong certainly changed that last week.
Well, they did, because they knew that Edmonton was vulnerable. So that's part of it. Calculated offer sheets are never a bad thing. They're a good thing. That's all part of the bylaws of the National Hockey League. St. Louis didn't break any rules. And I love it when people say, well, there's a handshake agreement. I've been in the NHL for 34 years. There's never been any such thing as a handshake agreement. Never heard of that. People say it all the time. It's not true. It's fiction. So St. Louis didn't do anything wrong. They saw a team that was vulnerable. They saw a need, especially on defense, because of an injury situation on the back end. So for St. Louis, and they said, you know what, we're probably going to try to make our defense better, because we don't know if Torrey Krug will be able to play again. So we're going to try to get Philip Broberg, and in the process, we're going to try to get Dylan Holloway too, because we think we need a little bit more energy up front. We're kind of in a pseudo rebuild. We haven't played a playoff game in 2 years, and we're prepared to play a second and a third round pick to get established NHL players. So what they did was smart. I know people in Edmonton were upset about it, but you got to look at it. Edmonton's decided to go in a certain direction. They wanted to add goals. That's why they brought in Arvidsson. That's why they brought in Skinner. And that's why they put themselves in a vulnerable position.
Pierre, if you can put the scout cap and the GM cap on here for a second, what do you think is the ceiling for a player like Philip Broberg?
I think what you saw in the playoffs, actually. I thought he was a really good playoff player for Edmonton. And, he hasn't had a lot of reps at a high level, but in the playoffs, I thought he acquitted himself really well. Do I see him being a 1 or a 2 on the back end of an elite team? No. Do I see him being a 3-4 on the team that can compete? Yeah, I think he's a top end 4 on a real good team. That's what I think he is.
And for the Edmonton Oilers, up front, Dylan Holloway being in some stiff competition with the players that they've added, especially the Skinner, Arvidsson, like you said, this offseason. Ideally, where do you think he would fit into the St. Louis Blues forward group?
I think he's probably going to be a top 9 forward. The one thing I'd say about Dylan that I was really impressed with this playoff season, Connor, there was a certain determination and second effort. And, passion to play, and this is for the older Edmonton players. I saw a little bit of Marty Gelinar in him. If you remember back in the 1990 Stanley Cup run, I saw an effort level and an ability to finish checks and establish good first man pressure. And I think the skill level, because I've watched Dylan play a lot over the course of his career, especially when he was at Wisconsin. I always thought that he was a guy that could probably raise his game offensively. So I think there's probably some more offensive upside in his game. And the other part of his game is really useful, especially in playoff hockey, the speed and the finishing ability on the forecheck.
Pierre Maguire joining us here on the Jason Gregor Show. Connor Halley sitting in. You can catch Pierre on the Sick Podcast, the Eye Test, more specifically with Jimmy Murphy, also longtime GM coach scout in the NHL. Pierre, so what do you think happens here in the next 24 hours? Do you think the St. Louis Blues get one of the players, both, or none?
Well, it's interesting, obviously, because of the Cody Ceci trade, moving him over to San Jose. And Embertson's a good player. I think he's more of a depth defenseman. He's not a guy that's going to make a lot of noise offensively. And he's not going to make a lot of money. So I think Stan Bowman and Jeff Jackson probably covered their tail on that in terms of defense. We also have to remember, too, and I know your fan base is so motivated and so knowledgeable, but, Desharnais moving over to Vancouver. I mean, there's some openings in the back end. So I think they covered themselves off by bringing in Embertson, but there is obviously the ability to bring Broberg back. I'm not sure they'll bring back both, but I do think they'll probably bring back one of the two. I do believe that.
Well, on Saturday, we did see the Oilers send a 4th-round pick in 2025 to the Canucks for Vasily Podkolzin. What do you think of Podkolzin as a player? I mean, we've seen flashes, we've seen some nice goals, but what do you think he brings to this Oiler group, if anything, this upcoming season?
Skill level and a fresh start. When he was an 11th overall by Vancouver, a lot of people thought he was going to be a home run hitter. They really did. I wasn't as sure about that. I thought he'd be an everyday NHL player. I thought he could be a guy that could be a half a point to three-quarters of a point per game player. He hasn't gotten to that level yet. But I do think new opportunity for him. I think he knew he was spinning his wheels in Vancouver. There wasn't going to be much of an opportunity for him to play at the NHL level. I think there's way more of an opportunity for him to play in Edmonton.
Oh, it's going to be really awesome. Pierre, just a few more questions for you. Really appreciate you hopping on this show today. What do you make of the trade, the Montreal Canadiens acquiring Patrik Laine from Columbus?
Well, first of all, I got to be transparent with you. I'm real good friends with Jeff Gorton, the president, and I'm real good friends with Kent Hughes, the GM. So I thought what they did was tremendous for the city of Montreal. They're crying out for a scoring, dominating big winger. If Laine can get back to where he was when he first came into the league, that'd be huge for the Canadiens. I hope that they did their homework. I hope that they did some background on Patrik. Obviously, everybody knows it's well documented. He's gone through a lot of trials and tribulations with his off-ice situation. And if he's good and clean and green, then he can become a real good player again, and that's real positive. Jordan Harris is a high-character person. He's a really good player, a little bit undersized to be a top-4 guy, but I think in Columbus he can be. He's an elite puck mover. He's got a flair for the dramatic. And the thing, too, is that Montreal covered their tracks to get a second-round pick in case Laine doesn't materialize the way they want or they have any issues. So I think for both teams it addresses needs and it helps, but I think for Montreal the upside is gigantic because their depth, their young depth on defense in Montreal is overwhelming. They've got tremendous young depth on defense. They really do.
Pierre Maguire joining us from the Jason Gregor Show, longtime NHL GM, coach, and scout. Some cool news as Jason Spetz has taken over the GM duties of the AHL Wilkes-Barre and Scranton Penguins, and then also some more moves there with Amanda Kessel as well. How long before we see Jason Spetz as the GM of an NHL franchise, do you think?
Oh, I don't know. That's going to be a while. I've known Jason a long time, obviously, and I've talked to him a few times since he went to Pittsburgh from Toronto with Kyle Dubas. He's feeling his way through. He's obviously a passionate hockey man. I can tell you this. One of the things that I think helped salvage Jason Spetz's playing career was his dogged determination at the end of his career to really be fit and to push himself. And I watched him do it a lot in Dallas with Jamie Benn. I was blown away by their work habits, both of them. And I think Jason will carry that forward into the managerial situation in Pittsburgh. It's a great opportunity because Pittsburgh's a rebuilding program. They can say whatever they want, retool, rehab, whatever. They're rebuilding. they're probably not going to be a playoff team this year, so that's 3 straight years without playoffs. There's a lot of room for growth in Wilkes-Barre, where their farm team is in the AHL. Jason will have hands-on, power to do a lot of things there. So it depends on how well he does with this, program down in Wilkes-Barre. But Jason's a hard worker, and he's a really hockey passionate person.
Final question for you. We saw the trade request from Preds goaltending prospect Yaroslav Askarov. If you were the GM down in Nashville, how do you handle this situation with a young goalie who, has got a lot of upside, a lot of hype, a former 11th overall pick, but hasn't done it at an NHL level quite yet?
Well, the other problem is you signed UC Saros to a long-term deal. So I don't know when Ashkadov will ever get an opportunity to be a starter in Nashville. So it might behoove Barry Trotz to actually look to move him. It's easier to find backup goalies than it is to find starting goalies. And they've got one in UC Saros. I think they're really comfortable with that guy. So, Ashkadov probably has some collateral, valuable collateral around the league, but he's yet to prove that he can be an everyday starter. It's interesting, Connor. I remember when Marty Brodeur was 16 years of age and he was playing for a midget AAA team in Montreal called Montreal Bourassa. And they've had an amazing array of goalies go through there. Eric Fischel went through there. Roberto Luongo went through there. Marty Brodeur went through there. Jocelyn Thibault went through there. It's just an amazing amount of really good goalies have gone through there. And I remember trying to recruit Brodeur to play U.S. college hockey for me. He was 16 years of age. And I was like, I'm not sure I've ever seen a guy this good at this age. And then he didn't come. He was a pick of St. Hyacinthe. He went to St. Hyacinthe, Quebec Major Junior League. The next year they had Roberto Luongo. I was like, not bad. So you never know. In the goaltender situation from year to year what's going to happen. But I think with Ashkarov, in his case, he's got to prove that he can do it. And I just don't think he's proven it yet.
Well, Pierre, thanks so much for doing this today. Glad to have you on this show. Enjoy the last couple of weeks because we know camps are going to get going right away here and it'll be full swing.
Thanks a lot, Connor. I really appreciate it. And great talking to you and your awesome fans out there in Edmonton. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. That is Pierre Maguire, host of the Sick podcast, The Eye Test with Jimmy Murphy. You can check that out wherever you get your podcast from. And that was Around the NHL, brought to you by McDonald's. $2 sundaes, $1 cones. Go check it out. Also, on the app, you can get dollar drinks, any size. Summer drink days. Iced coffee for me. I think, Declan, you're more of a Diet Coke guy, right? Maybe Coke Zero?
For summer drinks?
Yeah.
Yeah, probably. Honestly, the 1-1 would be bubbly water.
Ooh.
But if I'm getting crazy with it, having some fun, I think Jonathan's gagged back there. Having some fun with it, definitely a Diet Root Beer guy.
Oh. All good picks. All good picks. Go check it out at McDonald's. Connor Halley, Declan Kruger, Donovan Paulson with you here on the Jason Gregor Show, brought to you by PlayAlberta.ca. Jason off for another week, so going to let us run it. Wanye Gret's going to be by later on today. Shout out again to everyone out in YouTube. I see Smitty. We got KD and a whole lot more. Hit that like button. We're up to 14. Maybe we're even higher now. My computer's very slow, so I was hoping I could refresh it and take a look. 16. If you're on YouTube, hit that like button. I'm looking at you. We need to boost those likes. Let's get at least to like 50, give or take. Christian says, looks like Dylan Holloway and Philip Broberg have been removed from the roster on the NHL website. Yeah, I wouldn't put too much stock into that one. They're not on the Blues website. I just went and took a look there. And we're getting a few people saying that. Mike texting that in as well. So I don't know. It could just be the web guy. Now the offer is in, so maybe right now we're just considering that they are St. Louis. If the Oilers match, we'll bring them back. But maybe just speculating, having some fun with it. Rodrigo says, who would you rather have on your team, Broberg or Nurse, if they both had reasonable contracts? Ooh, how reasonable are we talking here? Darnell Nurse a little more proven, but if at the same money, if you're factoring in age, maybe I could be swayed the other way. That is a good question. Billman says, where's the like button on the radio? I pushed them all. I don't know. Go hop on YouTube, search Oilers Nation's channel. Find us and hit the like button, Pillman. That's what you can do. And before we get to break here, Scalding Gourd says, National Soft Serve Ice Cream Day. Do I go chocolate dip? I'd go to McDonald's for $1 cone.
You got to get the swirl, though, wherever you go.
Ooh. What if you're getting Blizzards, Declan? I'm an Oreo guy.
Man, I had the worst Blizzard I've ever had in my life yesterday.
Oh, McFlurries, how about?
Okay, yeah, love those.
Oreo.
Or no, I'm a score guy.
No,
yeah,
can't beat that. Can't beat that one. We'll take a break here. When we come back, we'll hear Cam Tate's 2-minute warning. Also, we're going to talk some Elks. We'll talk some Oilers. We'll talk NFL. We'll do it all here. We're going to talk some New England Patriots. I have to find out, are the Patriots going to be bad for a long time? Would the sickos like me enjoy that? Absolutely. All that and more. It is the Jason Gregor Show here on Sports 1440, as well as Oilers Nation YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter page, brought to you by PlayAlberta.ca.
The only thing as hot as the weather this summer is a night out at On the Rocks. Every weekend, enjoy live music and top DJs spinning your favorite tracks. The dance floor is the place to be. Celebrating a birthday or stagette? Let OTR take the work out of the planning for you. Book your party online at ontherocksedmonton.com. Join OTR every evening from 4 p.m. for a great atmosphere and good company. There's something for everyone to enjoy. Grab your Good Vibe Drive and head to On the Rocks, corner of Jasper Ave and 118th Street.
Introducing the Female Super League. Female hockey is on the rise with more women playing the game than ever. Join us as we pave the way for the future of women's hockey. The FSL is more than a game. It's a movement and an experience for the motivated female athlete. Teams will compete in a showcase-style format featuring consistent interprovincial competition. Come be part of the journey as the 2024-25 season unveils a 12U division, as well as the launch of a groundbreaking progressive body-checking 14U division. For more information, visit femalesuperleague.com.
You don't work for GMC, but it's kind of like you do because you pay what we pay. GMC employee pricing is on now on all 2024 GMC Sierra half tons and Hummers. Oh, but at Wolf GMC Buick, it's even better. Get GMC employee pricing on every in-stock 2024 GMC. If it's new and a 2024 and it has that beautiful GMC logo on it, then it's GMC employee priced. Pay what we pay, but only until August 26th. Get into Wolf GMC Buick now and see the over 200 GMCs in stock.
You see us working on the roads. You see us working in neighborhoods throughout Edmonton and area. But what are we doing? We are GS Construction, and we're moving, upgrading, and repairing all of that underground infrastructure so that other work can go on. Things like maintaining water, wastewater, and stormwater draining services. Things you may take for granted, but definitely need. For 50 years, GS Construction has been laying the groundwork for your community. Find out more by going to gsconstruction.ca.
What's cracking at Cattail Crossing? Every Friday after 4 p.m., it's 9 and Dine Fridays. Includes golf for two with a power cart at Cattail Crossing and a $50 food voucher at Out of Bounds Restaurant. Only $119.99. Tea times can be booked at cattailcrossing.ca.
The job isn't done until the last load is hauled, and having a semi-trailer out of commission is not an option. Whether replacing or adding to your convoy, Edmonton Trailer has a huge inventory of new and used semi-trailers, trusted by the gravel, logging, oil field, fluids, and freight industries. Find a trailer right for you online or at one of their 3 locations. For sales, service, parts, rental, and finance, when you're in it for the long haul, Edmonton Trailer.
Rule number 116. In Waterton, walk with a lean. The wind will always prop you up. Summer in Alberta has its own set of rules. And if you're looking to add a little extra fun, Play Alberta has it all. Use promo code SUMMER to snag a $50 casino bonus for casino, instants, and live dealer with your next deposit. Get ready for promotions throughout the summer to help you make the most of those sunny Alberta days. Because we all know they don't last long enough. Bonus terms and conditions apply.
Hey, sports fans, we've got a clear choice for you. At Crystal Glass, we provide customers with the perfect glass for any job. From home to auto and even commercial, installation or repairs, we're your team. Call 310 Glass or visit crystalglass.ca. Crystal Glass.
They say at any given moment, only 7% of people are looking for a car. And that 7% notices advertising for cars. Everyone else, 93%, doesn't even hear it. So this ad is just for the 93% who aren't going to really notice any car ads right now anyway. Hey, it's Scott here from Sherwood and St. Albert Dodge. And I hope you, yes, you, the person listening right now, I hope you have a great day. Anyway, that's it. I'm done.
Brought to you by PlayAlberta.ca. Use promo code SUMMER. Get a $50 free casino play with a minimum $5 deposit. I'm Connor Halley. We got Declan Kruger and Donovan Paulson with you here in the studio later today. Wanye Gretz of Oilers Nation will swing by. Andy Petrillo. We'll talk to Christopher Price, little New England Patriots. Mark Corte of the Elks. Spec and Kevin Woodley. 5 questions. Wanye's World. Tons to get to on the show today. So don't go anywhere. If you're watching on YouTube, hit that like button. If you're watching on Facebook, you can do the same on Twitter. I think there's emojis. If you're on Instagram, yeah, more emojis you can hit. I don't know what those do actually, but you can hit them anyways. It'll pop up. We'll all just be happy to see it. But we do appreciate you tuning in to the show today. Of course, if you missed anything, head over to the podcast section, Apple, Google, Spotify, or jasongregor.com. Right now, let's get to the 2-minute warning with Cam Tate. 45 years in the industry. This guy is one of the best. 2-minute warning brought to you by another group of people that I would say some of the best. Legacy Heating and Cooling, where their rates never change. Need service late at night or on the weekends? You don't need overtime charges. That's how you build a legacy at legacyheating.ca. And of course, Cam Tate has cerebral palsy, unable to speak on the radio, but through the power of technology, we put his words into audio. Here it is right now.
Happy Monday over there. And down there in the community from Linwood on the west end where I tried, you understand, to grow up, tried. Didn't succeed, saw my first live hockey game. Linwood Community League, North Riddick, great memories. Life, that's just all I'm making memories, right? So today I'm happy to announce I have a new job. Sure do. CEO, president, and tour coordinator of that Chris Jones moving company. How's that for the hot dog of the day? Did you heard new morning Jones, who's pink slipped by the Edmonton Elks a few weeks ago, is the new defensive coordinator for the Hamilton Tiger Cast. There you go. Sing it now. Reunited with Hamilton general manager Ted Hervey. Hervey and Jones and Hervey were coach and general manager here in 2015 when the Elkies, how's there for a name, won the Grey Cup. A week after, maybe shorter, Jones was introduced as the new Saskatchewan Rough Rider coach and GM. Jones has coached in every Canadian franchise except Winnipeg and DC. So as new head of the Chris Jones' moving company, we will take care of him. Hamilton to Vancouver, not a bad haul. Now, I encourage every sports fan listening right now, and God bless you for doing so, to share a moment and send good wishes on things like that to someone who has sent Chris Jones at work. He's also been a tireless supporter of Edmonton. Great promoter too. Has been in the radio business for, write this down if you're scoring at home, 71 years. Man is a good friend and have learned a great deal from, not only about sports, and today only, he turns 90. Very happy birthday to Brian Hall. 2-minute warning with Cam Tate, Monday, Friday, Gregor Show, Sports 14.
There you go. Cam Tate's 2-minute warning every Monday and Friday here on the Jason Gregor Show. Brought to you by Legacy Heating. Check them out online at legacyheating.ca. Yeah, Chris Jones, senior defensive assistant for the Hamilton Tiger Cats after they parted ways with Mark Washington today. Just going back, you saw the game on Saturday. The Elks put up 47 points, some of which came at garbage time. But yeah, I think when you're 2-8 on the season, you got to make some changes. To be honest, this might be the best role for Chris Jones. I mean, defensively, he's had some pretty good teams he's built up. I think when you're asking him to do the head coaching duties and the general manager, and you're not asking, he wanted that position. It's going to be a little bit tougher. So we'll see. We'll see if he can have some sway with that defensive side of the football. And who knows, maybe he'll work his way back to a coach in the CFL once again. The text coming in here, lots of questions. Lots of questions coming in here. Phil says, hey, boys, I don't get it. What is the problem with keeping Broberg at 4.5 when everyone's going to pay Ceci 3.9? Does anyone really think that by the end of this season, Broberg won't surpass Ceci as a better player? Yes, you would love to see more regular season experience, but we saw him when the pressure was dialed up the most and do very well. It's not as big of a leap as people are making it out to be, and he can be our second pair and be just fine, all for $600,000 more than we're going to give Ceci. Yeah, I mean, here's my thing. And the only reason that I bring up the money for me personally is just that that's another $4.5 million going into the 2025-2026 season when you need to get Evan Bouchard under contract. So I think that $4.5 million could be an impact. That could go to Evan Bouchard. But I get what you're saying too. Like that's just me kind of playing devil's advocate. This is a team that I think has to live in the moment. You can't be worried about that. You have the best of ice, the best available team possible. And for me, Philip Broberg would be a part of that, especially now with Cody Ceci gone. Like if you look at the Oilers blue line right now, it's not a Stanley Cup winning group. Not to say that Philip Broberg would just automatically put them back in the conversation, but I think it would surely go a long way. I've said it 1,000 times already. I don't think it's going to be perfect next season, but we know when he's playing up to his ability and the upside that he has, he can be a very effective player. So Phil, good text on that one. Text line is 1-833-401-1440. Northside Lou. Even if we weren't keeping Broberg, I would have tried working out a deal with the Sharks for future considerations. Match the offer, waived him for the Sharks to claim, get something back, and to screw St. Louis. If you match the offer, you got Broberg for a year. And you know what? Like, let's say, hypothetically, Oilers retain Broberg $4.5 million. Heading into next year, they've got to make some adjustments, make some moves. By the year, late August, you could officially make that move and trade Philip Broberg. Maybe the stock goes up a little bit and other teams want him, but at that point, you probably could. So I say I'm more than happy to play this one out year by year, make the moves you have to. Maybe it's going to be in a tough position where you're going to have to pay a little bit more for someone to take on a contract for you next season, but ice the best team you can. You're coming off a game when you were really one shot away from tying it up and forcing an overtime to go for the Stanley Cup final. This is as close as you could possibly get without winning. You got to carry over that momentum. You got to have a strong team. I think keeping Philip Broberg in Edmonton would go a long way for that. Peter says, got to say, pretty happy with Ceci's time in oil country overall. He played big minutes for a third pair player, stayed healthy and helped our PK big time. Going to miss some of that consistency on our blue line. Yeah, I think he missed single-digit games, and part of it was due to COVID. So, yeah, he was certainly a reliable Oiler on the team. From the bean counter, would it be funny if the Oilers picked up Ceci at the trade deadline? Hey, a reduced rate. Have San Jose retain some of that salary? That would be interesting. Cody Ceci comes up all refreshed, got to golf a whole lot more than he would have in Edmonton. Maybe that's a possibility. Sean says, to add to it, how much more pressure will Broberg or Holloway feel now to perform that they put the team in a vice? From Sean. Maybe they'd feel a little more pressure. We always hear about that. There certainly opens themselves up to more scrutiny now that they're making a little bit more money. Take that step forward. Carmen says, hey guys, didn't Mark Spector say decisions on the offer sheet will come this afternoon? Yeah, I actually thought I saw him tweet that out too. We'll wait and see. We've got young Donovan watching the social medias as we get through the day. So when it happens, he'll pop up and let us know. Between the three of us, someone should know. I think Wanya is going to be in here later. He's always scrolling through social media. So Declan, if any news does break, we're going to have it for you right quick.
For sure. Yeah, no, I thought you were going to say Declan be on it. I was ready to be like, yeah, first one on it. But no, we'll all keep our eyes opened. I have to say we're getting a little bit a few more people texting in telling us, Holloway and Broberg have been removed from the roster on the Oilers website. Obviously, it is the afternoon, like Mark Spector said it would happen. That could be an indicator. We'll see. You said not to put too much stock into it, so we'll monitor it. But yeah, all eyes are open, all ears are open, and we'll keep you updated.
Yeah, I mean, hey, it could mean something. There is that possibility that's the sign went down and the digital team took care of it, or maybe it's mind games. Who knows? Heffy says, hey boys, hasn't anyone read Elliot Friedman's article that Broberg wanted to trade at Christmas time last year? I think he doesn't want to be an Oiler. Match Holloway and move on. If they match for Holloway, it should be an interesting training camp. Ryan and Perry may be the odd man out, like in the minors. If that happens, Perry or both will retire. Signed, Heffy. Well, yeah, I mean, we've talked about it a lot. We talked about that going back to last week, that there was a trade request for Philip Broberg. He's frustrated, former first-round pick, probably had expectations of playing, maybe didn't think he deserved to be down in Bakersfield, and made a trade request. The Oilers didn't grant it, obviously knowing that they probably weren't going to get much for him for one, and that he could help their team going forward. So we did see that. You signed these offer sheets as like a means to the end, right? You're going to get paid now. It doesn't matter where he plays. He's going to be making $4.5 million for the next 2 years. If that's in Edmonton, I think he'd be more than happy to play in that second pairing, contribute where he can, and have a chance to earn an even bigger contract. if it's in St. Louis, he probably gets even more opportunities. So I think he wants to get out there and play. Obviously, the payday certainly is a nice little bonus as well. But again, we'll wait and see. I think if the Oilers match and Philip Broberg is here, I think he's going to be more than happy to go out there and lace him up for just under $5 million a season. Walter says this time next year, 4.6 mil, going to seem like a bargain in reference to Broberg. We shall see. Let's take a break here. When we come back, we're going to talk a little New England Patriots from Christopher Price will join us from the Boston Globe. We'll also be hearing from Edmonton Elks lineman Mark Corte. Man, they are running the ball so effectively right now, passing the ball well. Also, he's playing center right now. How tough is it to go from Trey Ford to McLeod Bethel-Thompson and back and forth in the way that they have? We'll talk about that and a whole lot more. It is the Jason Gregor Show here on Sports 1440, brought to you by Play Alberta. Right now, though, let's get to a Sports 1440 update brought to you by UL, supplying the city of champions and all of Alberta with great electrical gear since 1976. Order yours now at ewel.ca. Here is Declan Kruger.
This is a Sports 1440 update.
And for your Sports 1440 update, we start in the NHL. News surrounding the Edmonton Oilers as Philip Broberg and Dylan Holloway have reportedly been removed from the Oilers roster on the team website. The Oilers must make their decision on the Blues offer sheet for the two by Tuesday morning. Patrik Laine has been traded to the Montreal Canadiens. And in the CFL, quarterback Chad Kelly of the Toronto Argonauts has been taking first-team reps with the club, which could be an indicator that he will be getting the start against Saskatchewan on Thursday. The Montreal Alouettes have brought back star wide receiver Austin Mack after an NFL stint with the Atlanta Falcons, and the Hamilton Tiger Cats have officially hired former Edmonton Elks coach and GM Chris Jones as a senior defensive assistant. MLB action gets going in a little over an hour and a half here as the Diamondbacks take on the Marlins out in Miami. Toronto Blue Jays in action as they take on the Cincinnati Reds in Toronto. First pitch for that one, 5:07 p.m., and it's going to be Kevin Gausman on the mound for the Jays. Other games in action today, we'll see the Angels and Royals, Red Sox and Astros, Twins and Padres, White Sox and Giants, and the late game today in the majors, we'll see the Seattle Mariners out in L.A. taking on the Dodgers. NFL news, as the Washington Commanders have officially named Jaden Daniels their starting quarterback for the season. Colt McCoy has retired after 12 years in professional football, and the Atlanta Falcons will be sitting Michael Penix for their preseason finale. One final today in the Premier League for all the soccer fans out there was Leicester City and Tottenham tying 1-1. Jamie Vardy's 57th minute goal for Leicester was the equalizer. Coming up in hour 2 of the Jason Gregor Show, we will be joined by Christopher Price of the Boston Globe to talk some New England Patriots and Mark Corte, Edmonton Elks center. I'm Declan Kruger, and this has been a Sports 1440 update.
Sports 1440, a Stingray radio station broadcasting on Treaty 6 territory.
Download the free iHeartRadio app and listen to CKJR wherever you go.
Mr. Rooter goes on a water slide.
Welcome to the Sky Screamer. Please keep your arms crossed over your...
Oh, don't worry about old Mr. Rooter. I'm the last person you have to worry about clogging this pipe.
Actually, it's for your safety.
This plumbing-themed amusement park is amazing. To see the world from inside a giant pipe, it feels like Honey, I Shrunk the Mr. Rooter. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm ready to be flushed.
For a plumbing good time, slide into the DMs of Mr. Rooter.
The summer road lays ahead. Your potential destinations are endless. Volvo Cars Edmonton gives you choice to match. Right now, lease a 2024 Volvo XC90 from 0% for qualifying loyal customers, or save $7,000 on all new 2024 XC60 recharge plug-in hybrid models. All demo vehicles come with a free 10-year, 1 million kilometer warranty. No matter what you decide this summer will become, your first choice is Volvo Cars Edmonton. VolvoCarsEdmonton.com, 1205 101 Street Southwest.
Be melon jolly, not melancholy. Summer is ripe for fun, and some Booster Juice bestsellers are back in season. Watermelon smoothies, including the refreshing Watermelon Wave, a berry burst of strawberries, raspberries, pomegranate, and vanilla frozen yogurt. And fan favorite, Watermelon Explosion, a refreshing burst of bananas, mangoes, and pineapple, both made with watermelon sorbet and probiotic yogurt. All of the watermelon, none of the seeds. Visit a Booster Juice near you today or download the Booster Rewards app.
Legacy Heating and Cooling is your supplier of maximum comfort, bringing you the cool AC you need. You just have to
call Legacy. Call Legacy.
For comfort at night when the hot air suffocates you.
Call Legacy. Call Legacy.
For comfort in your wallet with no payments or interest for 1 year.
Call Legacy. Call Legacy.
You deserve comfort. Cool off today with AC from Legacy Heating and Cooling.
Bacon or sausage and egg McMuffin? It's a delicious dilemma. But what if you didn't have to choose? The Mighty McMuffin is back with bacon and sausage. Mighty McMuffin, mighty impressive. For a limited time at participating McDonald's in Canada.
Diablo Boots has been open for business for 60 years, selling Canadian-made quality boots. Diablo has Canada West work, biker, and cowboy boots with fixable soles and heels. So why buy boots like Area, Justin, or Red Wing that are made in China? Get your money's worth with Diablo's Canada West tough, comfortable work boots. So save on boots by Save On Foods, 3340 Gateway Boulevard on the east side of Save On Foods. And does Diablo sell the best boots in town? You betcha.
This summer, as the sun shines, the grass will grow. You'll find a wide selection of Echo summer cleanup equipment at the Lawnmower Hospital. From grass trimmers and chainsaws to log splitters and multi-tool systems. All backed by Echo's outstanding 5-year consumer warranty. Make summer yard care a breeze with Echo and the Lawnmower Hospital. LawnmowerHosp.com.
The Lawnmower Hospital.
What's wrong with me? Why do I feel like this?
No more gas in the red. Can't even get started. Nothing heard, nothing said. Can't even speak about it. I'm alive, I'm my head. Don't wanna think about it. Feels like I'm going insane, yeah. It's a thief in the night to come and grab you. It can creep up inside you.
From puck drop to kickoff, it's the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca. Alberta.
Sports 1440. Connor Halley, Duncan Kruger, Donovan Paulson with you. Coming to you live from the eWell studio. The show brought to you by PlayAlberta.ca. Go have some fun. Try and win some money. You can put in code word SUMMER and get $50 free in the casino. Minimum $5 deposit, but make sure to use your game sense when you do so. Lots to get to still on the show. We'll talk to Mark Corte, Edmonton Elks Center, also Spec, Andy Petrillo, and Kevin Woodley. But right now, we're going to get to the In the Room segment brought to you by Action Electrical. They're the most diversified electrical contractor in Alberta with 4 divisions in project, service tag, and solar for commercial or residential. Contact them today at actionelectrical.net. And we're going to continue our NFL preview as we're going around the NFL, talking to every market in the league today. We're making a stop in Boston. We'll be joined by Christopher Price, covers the Patriots for the Boston Globe. Christopher, good afternoon. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. How you doing this afternoon?
Doing really good. Really appreciate you coming on the show today to discuss the Pats and a kind of a new era now with head coach Gerard Mayo taking over for a longtime head coach, one of the greatest to ever do it, Bill Belichick. We just want to ask you, how much have you noticed in change just in the offseason now, training camp, preseason games with Mayo at the helm?
Well, it is different. I'll say this, that fans really shouldn't care, one way or another who's in charge and the way that coach treats the media. But I don't think I've ever heard a Patriots coach. I've covered the team since 2001, I'll put it that way. And I don't think Bill ever walked into a press conference by saying, "Hello, friends." Let's start with that. It's just a little different. It's a little bit surreal, honestly, because you look at the sideline, you looked at the sideline for so many years and you see the hoodie over there and the championship rings and, the baseline used to be, they're going to go to at least the conference championship every single year, and then you kind of plan from there. So it's different. It's a new era. The expectations have changed, and a lot of the personnel has turned over the last few years, and it takes some getting used to. Both fans, media, everyone across the league.
I mean, it has to be so tough replacing the hoodie. Like I said, one of the greatest coaches, if not the greatest coach of all time. How has Mayo, taken it so far and handled those expectations that go along with being the coach of the Patriots?
Well, he's been open with us, and we've been able to have a dialogue. Again, I don't think fans necessarily care about that, but I think when it comes to us in the media, it's been very interesting and very enlightening on a lot of levels. Again, this is a new team. This is a new phase. This is a new era of New England Patriots football, not just as a coach, but they take a quarterback third overall in Drake May, and a lot is on his shoulders moving forward. And so I really, for me, the biggest difference is the level of expectation again, that, this is a team that was, in the mix for a championship every single year for almost 20 years. And now, things are a little bit different. They're in rebuilding mode. He has kind of retained some of the old things, the old ways. They did a pre-practice slip and slide with the rookies the other day. That's something that they had under Bill. They continue to do an awful lot of conditioning work, and that was a staple under Bill as well. But he's brought kind of a new flavor to things. It's a younger staff, with coaching staff. And again, there's a lot of turnover on the roster. So it is, as we mentioned, at the top, it's a new era of New England Patriots football.
Yeah, and you mentioned Drake May there. Last preseason game, lost to the Eagles, but May went 6 for 11, 47 yards, ran for 1 touchdown as well. We also saw Bailey Zappi, Joe Milton III, and Jacoby Brissett getting reps at the quarterback position. I don't know if it's officially announced yet, but do you have any expectation who's going to be the starting quarterback for game 1?
Right now, it's probably going to be Jacoby Brissett. I think that there's a couple things there. You have to kind of keep in mind the offensive line is in pretty rough shape, at least right now. And I don't think you want to go out there and get your young quarterback killed. I think Jacoby Brissett is the kind of guy who could, take the slings and arrows, at least for the first few weeks of the season, until, you get a sense of where you are. I also think, too, when you look at Brissett and his background with offensive coordinator Alex Van Pelt, Patriots are learning a new offensive scheme, Van Pelt's offensive scheme, and he's really the only person in the building who knows it as well as Van Pelt does. And so, in a lot of ways, he's an extension of the new offensive coordinator. I think it makes an awful lot of sense to go with him. And then the third thing is, when you put the young quarterback out there, you have to be absolutely sure you can't put him out there, have him stink up the joint, and then yank him. If you do that, you run the risk of like a Zach Wilson situation where you're kind of, maybe playing with his confidence a little bit, and, it impacts his development, I think, down the road. So I think there's a few things that kind of go into the conversation. But yeah, no matter how well Drake May does, I think over the next week or so in the final preseason game is against the Commanders, I think Jacoby Brissett is still your starter to open the season. But I think sooner rather than later, at least by the end of the year, Drake May is going to be the starter for this football team.
Christopher Price covers the Patriots for the Boston Globe, joining us from the Jason Gregor Show. So what have you seen from Drake May, throughout this season, or sort of the season so far, training camp? I mean, does he have the arm? Is he showing some signs of leadership? Like, what's been your scouting report on him so far in the time that you've seen him?
Right now, and I'm saying, since last Thursday, the arrow's pointing in the right direction. He had a rough start in a couple of practices. He was up and down. He was making the bad throws. Honestly, he looked like a rookie on a lot of levels. But since last Thursday, he has been ascending. He has been stacking days, as they say in the National Football League. And I think he is on his way to, being, again, an everyday starter in the NFL. I don't know what that ceiling might be. I think it's going to be pretty high ultimately. But when you look at the ceiling this year, I think he's going to be a good starter in this league come December. There's some things that he still needs to clean up. There's some techniques, some footwork, just some general rookie things, but he's looked good. And I think, again, he continues to build. Everyone around here, at least I hope everyone around here understands that it's a process. You get your rookie quarterback in there and, you take baby steps forward every single day. And so far, he's continued to take those baby steps forward. Whether or not that leads to a starting role sooner rather than later, we'll see. But again, I would say as we sit here right now on August 19th, he's pointed in the right direction.
Now, you mentioned the state of the offensive line, but another thing that can help out a young quarterback would be a good receiver. And Jalen Polk was selected in the second round out of Washington. How's Polk and the rest of the receivers looking right now?
They're young. Not to put too fine a point at it, but they're young. Between Polk and Javon Baker, Pop Douglas in his second year, Kendrick Bourne and KJ Osborne are the veterans of that room, and they're, only in their late 20s. And so it's a young group, and they continue to look for a veteran receiver. They were in the mix for Brandon Ayuk for a while. They tried to go after Calvin Ridley in the offseason. So in baseball parlance, basically there are a bunch of second and third starters. There's no big number one guy in that wide receiver room. Now, that being said, again, there's a couple of really good complementary receivers. And, when you figure those guys into the mix along with what I think is going to be a pretty good running game with Ramondre Stevenson. You have the basis, kind of the foundation for a good offense. Again, the offensive line isn't where it needs to be right now, but you can see things starting to come together when you look at the offensive skill position guys, and that starts with the wide receivers.
Looking on the defensive side of the ball, obviously that was a trademark for a lot of those great Patriot teams. A very sturdy defensive team. Some really nice names, some players that have good seasons. What are you expecting out of Christian Gonzalez in year two? Because he had some moments last year.
Yeah, I think that Gonzalez, they're counting on him to really be one of the faces of this defense in year two. I don't know if he's quite ready to kind of assume that role. He did have a truncated year last year because of the injury. He kind of had to work his way back from it. He's looked pretty good over the course of the summer. But yeah, it's going to be Gonzalez, Bentley, Duggar, Peppers, Godshaw. These guys are going to be the foundational elements of this defense. He's going to be one of those guys who are going to be. He's going to be really, really important to what they want to get done defensively. I think right now he's poised to have a good year, but obviously everyone needs to stay healthy. Including Gonzalez. And if Gonzalez can stay on the field for 17 games, that's certainly a step in the right direction in terms of what they want to get done defensively this season.
Christopher Price joining us here on the Jason Gregor Show, talking New England Patriots on the show. Covers the team with the Boston Globe. Now, Christopher, just this division, I mean, it is absolutely stacked right now if these teams can stay healthy. Don't have to tell you, I'm sure you know this, but the Bills, Jets, Dolphins, all really good. What are you expecting for the Patriots when it comes to wins this season?
I think if they win 7 or 8 games, they should throw them a duck boat parade. Like what they did with the Celtics after they won the championship this year. Again, I think the expectation should be tempered when you talk about this team, at least when stacked against previous Patriots teams. I will say this. The over-under that we've seen in Vegas most often is 4.5 wins. My podcast partner, Chris Hogan, and we're going to replace the Do Your Job t-shirts with Bet the Over t-shirts. I think that they're capable of stealing a couple games on defense. I think they're also capable of winning a few games just kind of straight up. There was a game last year at home against Buffalo where they, obviously Buffalo was a better team, at least on paper, and the Patriots ended up winning the game, So I think that you're going to have a few of those games this year. I think ultimately for this team, really at the end of the day, obviously the most important position is quarterback. And while Drake may or may not be ready, I don't think they're going to lose games because of their quarterback this year. That happened, quite frequently over the last couple of years. They lost 8 games last year by 7 points or less. If they got competent quarterback play in any one of those games, maybe they win 3, they go 7-10, and Bill Belichick is still here. So who knows? So I don't want to play the what if game, but I really think that in the hands of someone like Jacoby Brissett, you're going to be able to get competent quarterback play. Now, Brissett's not going to be a Pro Bowler, but at the same time, he's not going to make the same mistakes that Mac Jones did last year that are going to lead to some narrow losses. So I guess ultimately, I think 6 wins is a reasonable goal for this team when you look at the division, when you look at the talent that they have up and down the roster, and you look at their schedule.
Chris, just a couple more questions about some players now no longer with the team and one coach, because Bill Belichick, he's come up in conversation here. 72 years old, not coaching the Patriots. Now 26 games back of career wins when it comes to the record. They're all time behind Don Shula and 16 back of George Halas, legendary Bears coach. Do you foresee him getting back into coaching to make one last trek here to try to become the winningest coach of all time when the regular season wins?
Yeah, I do. I think he's going to come back. I think that, I don't want to be a sports writer, but, and root for the easy story, but, the fun story certainly would be him to Dallas, at the start of next year, him and Jerry Jones, because I think they both have something that the other craves. I think Belichick would bring Jerry Jones some legitimacy, some, a certain shine to the head coaching position that they haven't had there in a little while. And I think, for Bill, it's a playoff-ready roster and the opportunity to beat, Don Shula's record. And so it would take a couple of years, but I still think that, the possibility exists for him to come back and coach a playoff-ready roster. I think that he would have to go, given his age and given the pursuit and, all the other things that kind of go into the conversation, he would have to be a little bit like Phil Jackson and, pick and choose his roster. Where he would go, but I think Dallas certainly offers him the best chance to win. I don't necessarily know he's going to win a championship, but it offers him the best chance to win in the short term. And also, too, he's a football historian. And that kind of means something to him. And so the opportunity to coach the Dallas Cowboys, I think, would certainly be attractive. The other thing too, and look, this is part of the conversation when you talk about Bill, and this has been mentioned a few times up here, him to the Giants. And that would be kind of a nice bow on his career as a guy who really made his name, obviously, as the defensive coordinator for the Giants all those years ago, to be able to go home to New York and kind of close out his coaching career, at least theoretically that way, I think would be appealing on a lot of levels for him.
And final question for you. You covered him for a long time. Tom Brady going to be stepping into the broadcast booth this year. Might be tough for you to watch, as I'm sure you're going to be at, all these games. But when you get a chance to watch him, how do you think he's going to do in the booth?
I think it's going to take a little time for him to kind of ease into it, but I think he's going to be good. We forget that a lot of these, greats, a lot of these goats, these goats who've been anointed before, didn't always succeed in the broadcast booth. Parcells was one of them. I think Joe Montana wasn't necessarily a great analyst. From what I saw, what I can remember from watching Tom Brady and the way he prepared and the way he approached his business, I don't think he's going to be lazy in this. I think he's going to do his homework, and I think he's going to get better. I think he's going to be mindful of the job that's ahead. I don't think he's going to half-ass it, because Brady really has never half-assed anything. When you look at his entire career, not just football, but over the course of his lifetime. So I think he's going to be good. I think it might take some time, but I think he's going to be a pretty good analyst.
I'm looking forward to it. I think he's going to see things in a way that few can, and to put that into words, articulate it. I'm sure he'll do a very good job. Christopher, thanks so much for doing this today. Really appreciate you coming on.
My pleasure. Take care.
You as well. That is Christopher Price, covers the New England Patriots for the Boston Globe, one of the best out there. Been doing it for a long time, and really appreciative of him hopping on the show. Brought to you by Action Electrical. Check them out online, actionelectrical.net. Declan, big Bills fan, me being a Chargers fan, we kind of been waiting on the Patriots' downfall, and I hope it lasts a little bit longer. But I assume for you as a Bills fan, probably not too much concern when you look at this Patriots team. A lot of uncertainty at a lot of positions.
No, 2 circle games for sure. Listen, I think the Patriots are an organization who more often than not can figure things out and can put it together. But I don't think it's going to be this season. I'm not sure it's going to be next season. I think in the long run, they'll be fine. But I will certainly enjoy it when they're at the bottom of the AFC East, which I think they will be for the foreseeable future.
Text coming in here from Mike says, false alarm on the players being deleted. NHL automatically removes all players that aren't under contract. Matty Benier is not showing up on Seattle's roster either. So there you go. We didn't know we should put a little stock into the Oilers not having Philip Robrick and Dylan Holloway up on their website under the official roster. Mike says Benier's not there with Seattle either. So until you're signed, maybe you're just not there. Hopefully we didn't panic too much. We'll see what happens. As Spec reported, you can expect a decision from the Oilers later on today. Whether we know about it or not, I guess we'll find out when it happens. Let's take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk some CFL football. A man who's right in the middle of it all when it happens. Will join us next on The Jason Gregor Show. Connor Halley, Declan Kruger, Donovan Paulson with you. The Jason Gregor Show brought to you by PlayAlberta.ca.
Experience more at the Edmonton Expo Centre. Come for Canada's largest trade shows, the biggest names in entertainment, and exhilarating sporting events.
Get ready for global icon Paula Abdul live with special guests Taylor Dane and Tiffany at the Edmonton Expo Centre Arena Friday, October 4th. The Paula Abdul Straight Up to Canada Tour 2024.
Get your tickets now and visit our full calendar of events at edmontonexpocentre.com.
Well, get ready for a silly hockey fans. Your partner in power just skated onto the ice.
EWEL.ca, the new e-commerce website for electrical wholesalers Edmonton, is ready for the power play 24/7, 365.
UL skates to where the puck will be in 5 years. Now that's forward thinking.
Killer selection, slamming products from the best brands, and legendary service.
Don't sit on the bench. Get your account today at EWEL.ca and win that project.
Plug into your partner in power. Get an EWEL.ca account today.
Honk your home for Papa John's newest deal. It's one big deal for one big pizza. An extra large New York style one topping pizza for only $17.99. Papa John's original fresh, never frozen dough. Hand stretched thinner to make 8 extra large slices with your favorite mouth-watering toppings. So hold and fold that slice like a New Yorker. Bigger is better when it comes to pizza. Better ingredients, better pizza. Better get some extra large New York style one topping pizza for only $17.99 at Papa John's.
Rule number 37. Elk Island mosquitoes don't believe in personal space. Keep bug spray spray ready at all times. Summer in Alberta has its own set of rules, and if you're looking to add a little extra fun, Play Alberta has it all. Use promo code SUMMER to snag a $50 casino bonus for casino, instants, and live dealer with your next deposit. Get ready for promotions throughout the summer to help you make the most of those sunny Alberta days, because we all know they don't last long enough. Bonus terms and conditions apply.
Silent Rides is one of Alberta's premier bus charter companies. With state-of-the-art motor coaches, we provide our customers with the safest and most reliable ground transportation. Our seatbelt-equipped buses have become the preferred carrier for many local sports teams, tours, corporate outings, and other various travel across Western Canada. For more information and to request a quote, contact Ted Nakamura at 780-940-0880 or visit silentrides.ca.
Actions speak louder than words. Japa Machinery Group puts your construction plan into action with XCMG construction machinery you need. Available for rental or sale. Learn more at japamachinery.com.
At Toyota, we understand life's full of winning moments, like winning shotgun in an epic game of rock, paper, scissors. Boom. Paper covers rock, Carl. And we design our award-winning vehicles with your needs in mind, giving you a front row seat to all life's victories. Except you, Carl. You're in the back. It's time for everyday wins. It's time to Toyota. Lease a 2024 Tundra 4x4 double cab SR5 from $159 weekly for 60 months at 5.99% with $6,599 down. Visit shoptoyota.ca or your local Prairie Toyota dealer today.
And Kruger, Donovan Paulson with you here live from the EWEL studio, where the real power play is to shop ewell.ca for all your electrical needs 24/7 online at ewell.ca. Of course, your partner in power, 1-833-401-1440. That is the text line if you'd like to get in on the conversation. We'll talk Oilers, Elks, NFL, whatever you want to. We'll get around to it at some point here on the show. Fantasy football, Major League Baseball. Tons to get to. Right now, though, we are going to get to our big guest of the day. Brought to you by Silent Rides Charter Company. Silent Rides is one of Alberta's premier bus charter companies with state-of-the-art motor coaches safely taking your team or group to their next destination. Visit silentrides.ca for more information. And our next guest has been playing a crucial role for this Edmonton Elks team that is playing some absolutely ridiculous football right now, beating up on their opponents. He's the man right in the middle, Mark Corte, Golden Bears alumni as well. Mark, good afternoon. Thanks for joining us today.
Afternoon. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, I really appreciate this. So right now, this team on a 3-game winning streak, I was throwing together some of the numbers here, and the way you guys are running the football is outstanding. In your last 3 games, you're just under 600 yards total, 598, 9 scores on the ground. Really started it with the game against the Saskatchewan Roughriders, rushing for 276. I know Javon Leake was just busting out those big runs, but what for you has been the biggest change when this group in the last 3 weeks that's allowed you to run the football so well?
Yeah, there's been a number of factors to it. I mean, we've, the number one factor to it is having great play at running back. Those guys have been doing a great job, and credit to our offensive coaching staff as well, really staying committed with it. They're doing a great job, and we've been able to come up with some good game plans the last 3 weeks that really take advantage of what we do best. And I think the plan is to keep that going forward. So. A few changes scheme-wise that have really helped us out.
How tough is it to go between quarterbacks when you're playing center? Obviously, McLeod Bethel-Thompson starting for 7 games there. Then you get Trey Ford for a little bit, then back to McLeod Bethel-Thompson. Is there any adjustments you make as a center with those 2 players?
Yeah, I think there's a few different things. I mean, the 2 different quarterbacks obviously have different styles. Trey tends to hold on to the ball a little bit longer, and he tends to be a little more, I guess, improvised and leave the pocket a little bit more often than McLeod does, and both do incredible things in their own way. So there's small changes there. I mean, there's also other things. The reality is that McLeod's a little bit taller than Trey, so in terms of snapping the ball, you got to make sure that's dialed in. But it's minor changes, really. I mean, ultimately, as a center, and an offensive lineman, the biggest thing is, you're between your quarterback and someone who wants to get to your quarterback, and the goal is to stay between those two people. So, that part never changes, right?
Oh, absolutely. We're joined by Mark Corte here, Edmonton Elks center, the team on a 3-game winning streak right now. Mark, when it comes to running the football, is there a preference for you and the guys up front that you prefer? Is it the tosses, the power right up the middle? Like, what's your favorite kind of run scheme to block with?
Yeah, I think you need them all, right? Like the kind of the inside zone stuff is sort of our bread and butter. But when we get to the edge, that helps everything kind of spread out a little bit. Then you get into the gap scheme, more power running stuff, where you get people pulling. That also opens things up. So they all really work together, and I think what we've been able to do a good job of the last couple of weeks is to blend those three main schemes into a game plan, and you see it pay off as the game goes on and defensive lines wear down and they get tired. That's when, especially you saw in that Saskatchewan game, that's when those bigger holes open up and you start to get those big gains. So it really pays dividends down the stretch in the third and fourth quarter.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, this past week too against Hamilton, you guys were in perfect harmony. 23 rush attempts, 23 passing. Just how much does that help you guys when you have that balanced attack in a game?
Yeah, absolutely. It's huge to it makes life easier when you can run the ball and do it effectively. It makes everyone's life better. The quarterbacks and receivers aren't having to contend with second and long. It's that 2nd and 4 to 6, which is a lot easier to play out of, and gives the play callers a lot more options. So that helps. And it also, being able to run the ball effectively on first down. Like I mentioned, it not only tires defensive linemen out in getting those holes open in the pass game, but it also slows down their pass rush. When we do end up throwing on second down, ends up slowing them down and making our lives easier up front. So, really it all comes together. Based off of our run game for us right now.
How much of a change have you noticed in the room in these last 3 weeks? I mean, I assume everyone's just a little happier. The swagger's back with this team. Has it been a big change just in the atmosphere in the room with the team?
Yeah, absolutely. We never really lost the belief through that first stretch of 7 games. We're going through it pretty good there, but I think we all still believe that we're a good team, a team that could win, a team that could put together really good football. So the mood never necessarily got bad, but I mean, it's hard to match, now being on a 3-game streak here. The mood certainly picks up quite a bit, and guys really are feeling pretty good right now. So hopefully we can, carry that into a game on the road in Montreal, which is going to be a tough matchup. And then, hopefully carry that further on into the Labor Day games.
We are joined by Mark Corte, Edmonton Elks center, here on the Jason Gregor Show. Connor Halley sitting in. So, Mark, obviously we know a cohesive group in the CFL or in any football league with the offensive line is going to go a long way. So I want to ask you a couple of questions about the line as a group. So my first question for you, who on the offensive line is the biggest trash talker?
Biggest trash talker. We're all a fairly quiet group, but Martez Ivey is kind of our energy guy. Tomas Jack-Cardillo's hurt right now. So the two of them are kind of our energy guys that that sometimes get in somebody else's face and bring that element of the game. Those two really specialize in that, I suppose.
Now, how about you? Are you keeping it pretty quiet?
Yeah, I'm keeping it pretty quiet. The reality of playing center is you've got to kind of manage, all the personnel groups, and you've got to make sure that, all the blocking schemes put together properly before the play. So I find a lot of times I don't necessarily have the time for much else other than that.
When the extracurricular stuff gets going, are you typically a guy just turns away, goes back, talks to the quarterback, get out of it, or do you like to mix it up a little too?
You know what? There's a mix, because you've got to be there to protect your teammates and to look after guys. And generally more often than not, what that looks like is making sure that they're getting out of it safely, and making sure that we're not taking penalties after the whistle, because those can cost us a lot. So that's generally more so the role, is trying to get this thing separated and squared away. So, definitely got to be in there and support the guys, but not in a way that's going to make things worse.
Is there a restaurant in town you guys go out to, and who would put down the most food on an average sitting?
Oh, we've had some good meals around town, and we've definitely got some guys that can eat. I would say, we're all pretty healthy eaters, but David Foucault can put away the food. He's a big guy, Montreal guy, so he can put it away for sure.
Going in practice, who is the opposing lineman you least like to go up against?
You know what? We've got some good D linemen. Sean Open has got some special talents. Jamin Pelly, though, is certainly a pretty heavy guy in there. So, he takes up a lot of space and eats up a lot of double teams. So, like a lot of teams, we've got a defensive line that's got kind of a variety of talents on it. And, Pelly's a big fella, though, for sure.
Now, is there anyone around the league that stands out that you wouldn't, you go up against them, it's going to be a tough matchup?
Yeah, no, there's, what I think the state of the league right now is that there's a lot of very good defensive linemen, scattered across the league. Everyone seems to have someone good, especially at the defensive tackle position, which is what I see more often. I think we'll have a really good challenge this week playing against Montreal. Mustafa Johnson's been a really strong player the last couple of years. So, we'll have our hands full with him for sure, and he always gives us a good challenge.
Now, do you ever see Coach Armando Sewell anymore? Because I know, man, he was one of the toughest to match up for in the CFL for years, just with that brute strength that he has. Does he get any reps in practice anymore?
He doesn't take any reps in practice anymore. He's certainly, his resume speaks for himself. And I had I don't know if the pleasure would be the right word, but the privilege to play against him. A very, very talented player, very strong. He can make you look bad for sure. So, no reps in practice for him, but he's teaching these guys all of his good ways that he had through his career.
Mark Corte, starting center for the Edmonton Elks, joining us here on the Jason Gregor Show. Just one last question for you before we let you go here. Proud University of Alberta alumni, and you look around the CFL, we're seeing more and more U of A alumni, especially the offensive line. Obviously, great season last year for the Golden Bears. Upcoming season should be good as well. But what is it about the Golden Bears program that we're starting to see more and more CFLers coming out of it?
Yeah, I think they've done a great job over there. I think it's really matured, that program, from where it was when Chris Morris took over in 2013. It's really developed into such a great place for young athletes to go develop, both on and off the field, and you're starting to see that result coming out in more CFL players that have come out the last couple of years. We've got Carter O'Donnell still in the NFL, so we've produced some really good talent. And it's starting to show up in the CFL, and a lot of guys are, scattered around the league and playing really well. So, I think the credit goes to Chris Morris and his staff. They've really stayed committed to what they believe in there, and it's really paying dividends for them and also for their players after they leave the University of Alberta.
Well, Mark, thanks so much for doing this today. I really appreciate giving us some of your time. Best of luck in Montreal coming up this weekend. Then you got the 2 against Calgary, and for the remainder of the season. It's been a lot of fun these last couple of games. Hopefully you can keep going.
Absolutely. Thanks, guys.
There you go. That is Mark Corte, starting center for the Edmonton Elks. Proud U of A alumni, and Spruce Grove's very own former 4th overall pick back in the 2018 draft, came over to the Elks in 2022 and has been here ever since. And that offensive line the last few weeks here really helped getting that run game going, which is leading to better pass pro and better results through the air. So good to see, and we'll see if the Elks can keep it going as they head out east, taking on the Montreal Alouettes on Sunday. I've got another watch party I'll be at. If we'll give more information on that as the week progresses. But the last one on Saturday night was a lot of fun. You definitely want to come out to the Elks watch parties. Connor Halley, Declan Kruger, Donovan Paulson with you here. It is the Jason Gregor Show. Still to come on the show, Andy Petrillo of CBC Sports will join us, of course, talk about the world of soccer. Spec will be by with these offer sheets, really coming close to the deadline. And we'll also be joined by Kevin Woodley of In Goal Magazine. We'll get a little bit of a scouting report on one of the newest Edmonton Oilers and talk some goaltending as a trade request dropping in the NHL today. It is the Jason Gregor Show here on Sports 1440, as well as Oilers Nation, YouTube, and Facebook, brought to you by PlayAlberta.ca.
The summer road lays ahead. Your potential destinations are endless. Volvo Cars Edmonton gives you choice to match. Right now, lease a 2024 Volvo XC90 from 0% for qualifying loyal customers. Or save $7,000 on all new 2024 XC60 recharge plug-in hybrid models. All demo vehicles come with a free 10-year, 1 million kilometer warranty. No matter what you decide this summer will become, your first choice is Volvo Cars Edmonton. VolvoCarsEdmonton.com, 1205 101 Street Southwest. Bringing every project to life requires the right team. By joining the Japa Machinery Group service or sales teams, you can be part of setting a new industry standard. Celebrating a legacy of excellence with Japa. Learn more at japamachinery.com.
The job isn't done until the last load is hauled, and having a semi-trailer out of commission is not an option. Whether replacing or adding to your convoy, Edmonton Trailer has a huge inventory of new and used semi-trailers, trusted by the gravel, logging, oil field, fluids, and freight industries. Find a trailer right for you online or at one of their 3 locations. For sales, service, parts, rental, and finance, when you're in it for the long haul, Edmonton Trailer.
Bacon or sausage and egg McMuffin? It's a delicious dilemma. But what if you didn't have to choose? The Mighty McMuffin is back with bacon and sausage. Mighty McMuffin, mighty impressive. For a limited time at participating McDonald's in Canada.
If you've ever restored a classic car or seen one, you smile because you know what it took to get that beauty looking pristine. The same is true for men who restore their hair. Nothing but smiles for miles. Patients from all over Canada travel to see me, Dr. Vance Elliott, to have their hair loss treated and remedied. I've been helping people for 28 years. My practice is outfitted with the most innovative and latest hair transplant techniques and technology. And I do it myself. Contact us at drvanceelliott.com.
They say at any given moment, only 7% of people are looking for a car. And that 7% notices advertising for cars. Everyone else, 93%, doesn't even hear it. So this ad is just for the 93% who aren't going to really notice any car ads right now anyway. Hey, it's Scott here from Sherwood and St. Albert Dodge. And I hope you, yes, you, the person listening right now, I hope you have a great day. Anyway, that's it. I'm done.
YouTube, Facebook, X, and if you're watching on Instagram, hey, you're on the Sports 1440 account. Thanks for tuning in. Make sure you give all those a follow, a subscription, a like, wherever you are. We appreciate you tuning in. The text line, 1-833-401-1440. Still lots of text to get to here. Elks fan, maybe they're letting them walk, and the 2 trades were to replace both Broberg and Holloway. Yes, the Edmonton Oilers making some trades over the weekend. Cody Ceci. Enjoy San Jose. You'll be traded at the trade deadline to a contender, and you will play meaningful hockey soon. Also, a 2025 third rounder. Whoever you are, when you get there, they might be back on the winning thing, but that's okay. The Oilers getting Ty Emberson from the San Jose Sharks yesterday, clearing up a little bit of cap space. And on Saturday, it was a 2025 fourth round pick heading to Vancouver for Vasily Podkolzin. We'll talk a little bit about that with Kevin Woodley, who covers the Canucks for InGoal Magazine or NHL.com, also InGoal Magazine. But right now, we bring in Wanye Gretz of Oilers Nation. Slid into the studio during that last break. What do you make of the weekend for the Edmonton Oilers, Mr. Wanye Gretz?
It's been a very interesting time. I don't know if anybody made note, but I'm old school, Connor. You know how I like my Oilers. Good looking.
Yeah.
And Cody Ceci, he's got a lot of fans out there. He's a good looking guy. And you say what you want about his play. I personally liked him. Mr. Game 7. He made the odd mistake here and there because he was playing big minutes. But more importantly, he was a good looking man. He brought the average sexiness of the team up.
Good for the slow-mo videos walking into the ring.
Yes.
Yeah, you
the
need
fashion
that.
fit shots coming in, right? Had a lot of fans.
You and Strutty should start a podcast.
Well, we had one briefly.
But another one.
Oh,
just
why?
Talking,
he likes the fits?
Just talking good-looking men in sports.
Is he of the... He's got an eye for it?
Oh, yes.
Interesting.
If you're good-looking in sports, he'll just drop that in there.
He knows, doesn't
like
he?
great analysis of hockey and then be like, and not a bad-looking man.
Yeah.
You
Well,
know?
sometimes you're right. Sometimes you're right. I think these deals were necessary, Connor. I think we had our hands sort of forced by St. Louis. I'm actually amazed how quickly they're moving. I mean, they only have until when? When's the deadline?
Tomorrow.
Yeah.
It's weird because, I mean, we'll everyone can send their thoughts in about this. My timeline was you keep the D-man, you let the forward walk.
Yep.
And then
I'm with you.
We're talking, we're hearing things, and it's like, okay, maybe the Oilers see things differently. Maybe they're going to let the D-man leave for $4.5 million, keep Dylan Holloway. And then in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, that's the right move too, because now you have $4.5 million and you can spend that elsewhere. And then they bring in Podkolzin. And I'm thinking, okay, so definitely Dylan Holloway's gone. They've got their forward. It's going to be Broberg staying, and that's how it's going to work out. Cody Ceci goes and kind of re-cements my thought that, okay, it's going to be Broberg. He's got to stay. But now you very easily could keep them both by having Evander Kane on the LTIR, and one of these players could be Ty Emberson, who you bring over from San Jose down in the minors. All of a sudden, you can match and you can keep them both. I have no idea what's going to happen. Some people think maybe let them both walk. Then you have cap space and compensation you can use at the trade deadline. Wanye.
They're not going to let them both.
I'm flabbergasted right now. Anything that happens, I could probably say, okay, I get it.
Have you done a poll?
No.
Might be worth doing on the text line. Do they...
Or the YouTube chat.
Or the YouTube chat, or both. It's 2024.
We could do that.
Do they keep both guys? Both Broberg and Holloway? Do they keep just Broberg? Do they keep just Holloway? Do they let them both go? 4 options.
Let us know. 1-833-401-1440. What would you, or what do you think, or what would you do?
What would you do?
What would you do?
What would you do?
This is a segment we like to call Wanye Wonders.
What would you do? We have this at the Nation. What would you do Wednesdays? It's not Wednesday. It's neither here nor there. What would you do?
You're asking me?
Yes.
Okay. I think I would keep them both. If I'm keeping Broberg, I'm keeping Dylan Holloway as well. I mean, like, he showed something to me in the playoffs. The tenacity, the grittiness. I don't hold it against him that he signed an offer sheet. Guy's got to get paid. I feel like he might have thought that the Oilers will match this. And now maybe some hesitation, like, did I get bad advice? Could I be going to St. Louis? At least I'll get paid and get an opportunity, but I'd rather stay in Edmonton. For Philip Broberg, I just think if you look at the Oilers blue line, and I might just check out our friends at Daily Faceoff for this one. But, you know, you're going to have Ekholm, and you're going to have Evan Bouchard. You're going to have Darnell Nurse. Who's his partner? If Broberg leaves. Is it Josh Brown? Troy Stetcher? Then you have Kulak on your third pairing with the other one of those two. Yes, you could, with some of the saved money, you could try for a Justin Schultz or Tyson Barrie or insert name here. But I just think it's a drop-off if you lose Philip Broberg. I tweeted it during the playoffs. I said, get Philip Broberg a permanent residence in Edmonton and a new number.
You've done all you can do, Connor.
I put it out there.
You tweeted it.
Well,
what more do these people want from me?
86 is not a good number.
Why not?
Because didn't Nikita Nikushkin wear it?
One of the goats.
What would you do? I'll reverse it.
I would keep Broberg and I would let Holloway leave.
Yeah?
I would keep Broberg for the simple fact these defensemen, they get better older. And there aren't, in my mind, a lot of rookie D-men who can play 17 minutes a night in the Cup Finals.
Mm-hmm.
And once you've done that, once you've proven that to yourself, I think it's a lot easier to play a Tuesday night game in February and not feel nerves. Right?
I do agree.
I remember in the 06 Cup run, because I'm old school like that, Connor, when Hemsky, I believe Hemsky was a rookie in 06. And he was or second year. Like, he was still very new.
He was still young.
Maybe second or third. Anyways, He showed a lot, right, in the playoffs. And like, I don't know. Sometimes big games draw out big players. I just think that Broberg has a lot of upside, a lot more upside. If it was like a 7-year deal or something, I would say maybe avoid it. But to me, a 2-year deal for a guy with a lot of upside left now that they've made the room.
Yeah. I totally agree with you. You know, you saw what Philip Broberg can do. He's got the ability. He's got to do it. It's early. It's easy to get up for a game in the Stanley Cup final. Can you do that January 13th when you're playing in Columbus? You know, I think it's tough to do it for a full 82 game schedule. He hasn't done it yet. But I like the upside, even at the price point right now. If it's too high, maybe in a year that's a bargain or it's a fair contract.
Here's what I remember about Hemsky now. I just looked it up so I can remember my own life. And he's wearing a Habs jersey on Hockey DB in the photo, and that's weird. But prior to the Cup run, he'd scored 6 and 12 goals, respectively. He hadn't really exploded yet. We weren't thinking he was like big-time Ales Hemsky. And then in 05-06, he put up 77 points, right?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like a guy like Broberg, obviously he's not forward like Hemsky, but I just feel like we haven't yet seen what he's capable of. And it's easy to look back in hindsight and be like, oh, look how amazing Hemsky was. But he wasn't that insane his first 2 years.
No. And I mean, point totals, he never blew it out of the water. Different time in the game.
And he's a forward. And
yeah.
Don't get me wrong. I'm just meaning that, like, we haven't seen what Broberg is capable of doing yet, but he's giving early signs in his career that he may have significant upside. And top 4 defensemen don't grow on trees.
Nikita Nikitin was the Oiler to wear 86.
Yeah.
And
He did
Philip
grow
Broberg.
on trees.
Did we literally off air just talk about him?
Yes.
What are the odds that would happen?
Most roads lead to Nikita Nikitin.
New number, new house in Edmonton.
What's the likelihood if they keep Broberg, he could be one of the good, not necessarily great, but good Oilers defensemen for the next 5 years? Coin toss?
I remember Jay Fresh had him as a 50-50 NHLer with his cards just a couple of years ago. I disagreed. I think he can be a very good second pairing NHL defenseman for $4.5 million. The problem is, in all likelihood, he gets better, and not many guys sign a cheaper contract. How often does someone stay in the same market and take a pay cut? Doesn't tend to happen.
But that's a problem for 2 years from now, us.
That's fair.
And we'll have new technology, maybe some kind of laser to help us.
Cap space.
There it is.
Maybe increased.
Maybe goes up. We don't have to pay for James Neal and Jack Campbell's contracts anymore. Maybe we got more options down the road. I'm amazed how the Oilers have managed to make this work. They seemed like they had very few options. And yet here we are.
Outside the box thinking. They find a way to make it work. They got plenty of time. Well, you know, I'm just saying 2 years down the road, like, hey, maybe they won a cup and it doesn't matter. Everyone's happy anyways.
What do you make of the fellow they brought in from Vancouver?
The research I saw in his drafter, he was the number 2 ranked European skater. Played with men in Russia, so wasn't putting up crazy points. Decent size. Apparently, is a nice finish. Canucks fans, I was trying to just kind of pick their brains on social media. I
saw you, doing that. What was the consensus?
Needs a new start. Needs a fresh start. Could have some upside. I don't know if the one thing that comes to mind is Klim Kostin when he was traded for Denis Samorukov, and everyone was like, okay, 2 guys get a fresh start. Who knows? Klim Kostin became a fan favorite. I'm not saying that's what Pod Colton's going to be. I mean, just start fights and really embrace the Edmonton culture. But who's to say he, doesn't find that offensive upside that had him taken with a top 15 pick just a few years ago? It could happen.
What do you think about the Laine trade?
Good for him.
What do you mean? New start? Fresh?
Get out of Columbus. Why? I wouldn't want to play for Columbus.
Why is that?
Tell you what.
Yeah, the cannon?
The cannon. Yeah, throws you off.
It's startling.
There's just some places like that wouldn't excite me. If I was playing NHL and I created a player and I got drafted to Columbus, I would restart. I don't want to play in Columbus. Probably, I've heard good things about the town. You can go watch Buckeyes games.
Oh, that's great.
But me personally, just the franchise, I don't know if I want to be there.
But there's so many NHL players that say, I don't want to play in the pressure of a Canadian market. Isn't Columbus kind of what everybody wants? Like a good city where you're maybe not the front page of the sports section, some anonymity to live your life.
Yeah, but you want to win hockey games too. Florida, Tampa. maybe, if we're talking cheaper tax brackets, Dallas Stars, I think you could go to Cali. The taxes thing isn't really an issue because you're gonna pay more there. But we were talking, Donovan and I, about Patrik Laine, and mental health wise, you hope he's okay and everything's going good, and it seems like he is. I know he and his fiance, I believe, girlfriend, have a new initiative they're starting, a new charity. If you struggle in Montreal, those fans and that media can be ruthless, and that's from an Edmontonian.
This is what I was going to say: is if you didn't enjoy the pressure cooker that is Columbus, P.S. it's not a pressure cooker.
Mm-hmm.
What are you going to think about the Habs?
That's it. Like it's going to be tough if he can't find his game. There'll be struggles. If he finds his game, he'll be a king, right? Like there's two sides of the sword. I think Max Domi was a guy who, playing in a more intense market, had more success. Had a good year or two in Montreal, or okay. If you have a good season there, they're gonna love you. You'll never buy a beer. You'll be taken care of. But if you struggle, I think that could be really tough. So I like it as a good change of scenery. Sending a pick there as well. Montreal, we talked to Pierre Maguire, said the Canadians have a lot of depth on the blue line, so sending someone back to Columbus, maybe not the biggest thing for them, but I hope it works out for him.
How did Laine handle the pressure in Winnipeg? I'm trying to remember because he came out great guns.
Yeah, well, he had 33 goals, 36 goals his rookie year.
Huge.
I think he handled it pretty well.
Okay.
It seems like he has to be handled like by the head coach,
right?
But yeah, I don't really know. I don't want to try to get inside his brain.
There aren't a lot of players that have his potential upside if he can return to form.
Oh my goodness!
Like if the Habs can get anybody resembling early Laine, they're rolling.
And they have some nice pieces there in Montreal too, right? So if they get that sniper back, that's a great deal. 2 years left. I got to give Donovan credit for this because he was looking it up. 2 years left, $8.7 million for Patrik Laine. So it's a hefty contract.
That's heavy duty. But did Columbus eat any of that?
No,
not 1 cent.
It's all going to Montreal. So that's going to be another thing, that is going to be a factor. He's got a hefty payday. But if he goes back to 30, 35 goals, you're more than happy to take on that base. So it's like Philip Broberg. We got to wait a year and see what happens. And Dylan Holloway, I guess, to a lesser extent.
I love Dylan Holloway. Good guy by all measure. Beauty. I don't lie awake at night worrying we can't replace Dylan Holloway. Broberg, on the other hand, especially when we've had such bad luck with defensemen disappearing into the mists of time for nothing.
Mm-hmm.
This one could haunt you in 4 years.
KCF says Dylan Holloway and Philip Broberg have been removed from the Oilers website roster. We dug into that. So was Matty Beniers off the Kraken roster. When you're not under contract, you're not on the website. So don't put too much stock in that one, KCF. We had it debunked earlier on in the show. Chris says, not sure if it's been brought up, but Broberg and Holloway are no longer on the roster. On the website.
We're on this, aren't we?
We're on this, yeah.
Fans.
I didn't mean to click that one, but then I clicked it, so I just had to read it.
We're on this.
That one came in here. Yeah, don't worry, guys. It's all good. It is all good. That's just digital side doing their job. You're not on the roster right now. They take you off the website. You don't have to get too worked up about it. Not saying it means nothing. They could both be walking, but we're not quite there yet officially. Okay, I got a long one here from Scott Hall. Both youngsters signed their offer sheets, not because they wanted to stay, but because at that age, but wanted more ice time on a lesser club. Stanley Cup will not mean as much to them now as it will after they languish in Blues Town watching Connor and Leon hoist cups from their early summer Missouri golf carts. Sorry, loyalty means something, and it's there with all of the men who came back for less to hang on with winners. Connor and Leon, Brown, Henrique, Janmark, Perry are not going to bow out or bail on their team. Broberg whined and complained in December, and the small sample size for both in the playoffs. Risking paying Broberg more than Bouchard is not a good idea, even if it's just for a day. From Scott. Different situations, though, Scott. Like, you have to look at it like Adam Henrique wants to win a cup. Those guys older, further along in their career, maybe it's just different priorities. Broberg wants to get paid. I mean, geez Louise, could you imagine? Say it was going to be 1.8 that you had offered, the Oilers. I'll stay for 1.8 million per year. And then another team comes at you and says, I'll give you $4.5 million. Like, that's big time money. And it's a means to the end. Like, they weren't signed. We don't know how close they were to being signed. That basically said, here it is. 1 week, I know where I'm going to be. I'll be in Edmonton for 2 years at 4.5, or I'll be in St. Louis. But no more waiting. Let's force this issue. If the Oilers didn't want it, they could have signed him during the season. They could have tried to sign him during the offseason. They had time to do so. Granted, they had other priorities. They had to sign or hire a general manager. They have to kind of discuss Leon Draisaitl. But I don't know. I'm not going to blame them for leaving Edmonton and going to a new team where maybe they're a little more appreciated. They can get paid, get opportunity, because the Oilers could hypothetically win a cup next year.
I wonder what percentage of players would trade being rich for being great. Right? So if you're being great, like winning a cup, winning a championship versus taking a larger offer from a team that maybe doesn't have a chance of winning, but you've got, once you sign that deal and leave, a really high chance of kind of locking in money that's going to take care of you after you retire.
So, I mean, I guess it depends. Like Joe Thornton made a ton of money. I'm sure he's pretty happy. But he would say, I traded all for a cup. With the wisdom that comes from it all. I'm sure he would say that.
I don't think you find too many players who were offered like exponentially more money than they expected, who took the money, who then later on in life were like, you know what's annoying? All this money.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I got all this money in retirement. It's a shame. I wish I'd taken a big hometown discount. Because there's no guarantee you win a championship if you stay in Edmonton.
That's it. You could. You're in a much better situation here than you are in St. Louis.
But if you take that contract in St. Louis, there is a 100% chance you're going to get that money.
Mm-hmm. Jordo says, would you turn down a 5? Oh, wait, sorry. That was Tucklin's response. Tucklin, I'll let you handle that one because Jordo said Scott gets it. These rookies taking the extra money is brutal. Well, could have been locked up earlier.
They got to take care of them, though, man.
Mm-hmm. I get what you're saying, though. Like, if you're a diehard Oilers fan, your perspective is going to be, like, you should want to be here. If you want to win, this is your best opportunity. You're here, and you made that decision to force the hand, and you could leave. See ya. Kick rocks. I get it from, like, a diehard Oilers perspective fan, but I also get it from Philip Broberg's perspective where he might say, you know what? Sure, maybe I can win a cup in Edmonton. Maybe. No guarantees, but maybe. But also I can get $9 million over 2 years playing in St. Louis, and I think that team could be on the cusp of turning things around.
I side with the players, man. They understand how on a razor's edge they could get hurt any night, any play, right? They could suffer a career-ending injury, right? I think loyalty to these guys is you better deliver. You're a pro athlete, or the goodwill doesn't last too long.
Loyalty, how often is it shown from pro franchises to players?
Especially the local team.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's granted it's better in hockey than it is in football. Players now really want to get that guaranteed money as much as they can, but
the guys who are out there laying it out there, putting their health on the line, putting their brains on the line, putting their bone injuries on the line, I think they deserve to get the maximum amount of money while they can.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
But I'm just going to say, like, I get the frustration from Oilers fans. Like, this team has been, it's as close as you can come to winning a Stanley Cup without winning, right?
Yeah. One period.
I guess they didn't lose in overtime.
Well,
but,
I suppose that's fair.
You know, whatever. One goal.
99th percentile.
Yeah. If you were a player that had the chance to play here for that chance, thinking of all the teams left in the NHL, this is my best hope, you should do what you can to be there. But these two guys made a different decision. I deep down, I think Dylan Holloway's camp thought that they'd match it, like with no hesitation. It's not that much more money. You know, maybe if he was coming in at the 1.8, like it's more money, but it's not that much more money. The problem is the Oilers went out there and signed guys that can play his position in Jeff Skinner and Victor Arvidsson. And they've got Hyman, Kane, Nuge who can play wing. Like they've got that depth. So, hey, you know what? In one day, we're going to know all the answers. We're going to talk about it tomorrow and break it down and see if they did the right thing. And then we'll come back in a year and we'll talk about it again. And if the Oilers win the cup, we'll say, see, told you. I
don't want to talk too much about the scenario of the Oilers winning the cup because I feel like there's some things you don't want to talk too much about. But if a team, including the Oilers, were to win a championship, say the Oilers won the cup, what happens to your expectations after that point? Like, if the Oilers win the cup, you say then nothing matters. Like, is that what happens, Connor? You're just like, well, we did it. Doesn't really matter if we go to contract hell or we suck for a few years after. Like, as long as what becomes the expectations of a team that wins the cup?
I mean, I've only seen one of my Big Four teams win, the Raptors. Kawhi left. I said, thank you, sir. Good luck in LA. Thank you for everything. I was pretty laid back after. Low Tide said when the Eagles won, his expectations went down. Like they don't need to win for a while. You ride the high. I don't know. But how would you react?
Oh, I'd just be so happy.
Would you be hungry for that feeling? You want to see them go back to back?
I want what Connor wants. I don't think Connor will be satisfied with one cup. Do you?
No. I feel like you win that one cup as a player, and then you just can't wait to get that again. And then again, the likes of Sidney Crosby and such. But Montana to Rice says you win one championship, then you want 2 championships. Then you want a dynasty when you have players like McDavid.
Yeah. True.
I think the hunger, like you know how good it feels, and you want it again. Meanwhile, as a fan, I was like, that was a great ride. My heart sucks now. I'm going to enjoy the summer, and I'm good for a while.
I don't look to the Philadelphia Eagles to how to handle winning either. It's a one and done.
Let's take a break, Wanye. Lots to get to on the show today, though. We're going to be joined by Andy Petrillo at about 4:20, 4:25. Also, Mark Spector. We'll hear from Kevin Woodley of In Goal Magazine, and then also 5 questions with Declan Kruger. He's been knocking it out of the park at 5 questions, so we'll do it again with Declan this week. Right now, though, let's get to young Declan and the Sports 1440 update brought to you by Legacy Heating and Cooling, home of no payments, no interest for 1 year on your AC unit. Stay cool all summer long at legacyheating.ca.
This is the Sports 1440 update.
And for your Sports 1440 update, the Montreal Canadiens have acquired Patrik Laine and 2026 second-round pick from the Blue Jackets in exchange for defenseman Jordan Harris. News in the CFL world as Toronto Argonauts quarterback Chad Kelly has been running the first-team offense at practice today, which could be an indicator that he will start against the Rough Riders on Thursday. Chad Kelly did meet with CFL Commissioner Randy Ambrosie on Friday. Other notes in the CFL, the Montreal Alouettes have brought back star receiver Austin Mack after an NFL stint with the Atlanta Falcons, and the Hamilton Tiger Cats have officially hired former Elks coach and GM Chris Jones as their senior defensive assistant. MLB action gets going in about 35 minutes time with the Diamondbacks and the Marlins. Cincinnati Reds in Toronto taking on the Blue Jays. First pitch for that one, 5:07, and Kevin Gausman will be on the mound for the Jays. Other games on the schedule today include the Red Sox and Astros, Twins and Padres, Rays and Athletics, White Sox and Giants, and the late game today in the MLB is the Mariners and Dodgers out in LA. 8:10 first pitch for that one. News in the NFL world as the Washington Commanders have officially named Jaden Daniels their starting quarterback. Quarterback Colt McCoy has retired after 12 years from football, will enter the TV booth come this fall, and the Atlanta Falcons will be sitting Michael Penix Jr. in their preseason finale. 3 games in the WNBA today. All gets going at 5 p.m. Sparks and Sun, Wings and Liberty, and Storm and Mystics. Prem League action from earlier today. In case you missed it, it was Leicester City and Tottenham tying 1-1 after Jamie Vardy's 57th minute equalizer. In hour 3 of the Jason Gregor Show, we'll be joined by Andy Petrillo of CBC Sports and One Soccer, and we'll have another edition of 5 questions. I'm Declan Kruger, and this has been a Sports 1440 update.
1440, Stingray Radio Station. CKJR broadcasts from West Edmonton Mall and Wetaskiwin.
Download the free Stingray music app and listen wherever you go.
So you've decided you want to start hiking. Nobody would say, I'll just wear my kids' flip-flops until I have more experience. The first thing you do is buy the right shoe size and style to fit you. Same with golf. You can't just buy clubs off the rack. They won't be the right size or style for you. Only Fitted Golf works with you to identify your swing style and then matches your clubs exactly to that swing. Check out our Instagram and YouTube channel to see the success others have with clubs fit to their swing. Fitted Golf, where we continue to prove it's your clubs.
Rule number 62. Never miss a free pancake breakfast. It's unheard of and frankly a little upsetting. Summer in Alberta has its own set of rules. And if you're looking to add a little extra fun, Play Alberta has it all. Use promo code SUMMER to snag a $50 casino bonus for casino, instants, and live dealer with your next deposit. Get ready for promotions throughout the summer to help you make the most of those sunny Alberta days. Because we all know they don't last long enough. Bonus terms and conditions apply.
Gather around the radio, kiddies, for the best time of day. It's Oodle Noodle time. Listen in this week as your noodle hero battles the barbarous Bobby Burger. Now sing along. You know the word. Oodle Noodle time. Oodle Noodle time. You know what time it is now. Get up and give me your best Oodle Noodle dance. Your best time of day is Oodle Noodle time.
I'm Colin Livingston, president of Cantork. Since 2016, we've been at the forefront of hydraulic torque wrenches in Canada. I'm delighted to share our latest venture, in-house production for quicker turnaround, superior quality, and heightened versatility. Experience excellence at cantork.com.
For over 65 years, Denham Ford has delivered the customer service and value that keeps Albertans moving. And nothing moves Albertans better than Canada's best-selling truck, the Ford F-150. Here now with rates as low as 0% or savings up to $17,000. That's the value you've come to expect from where cars always cost less. 0% or $17,000 off F-150s. Only at Denham Ford in Wetaskiwin or at denhamford.ca.
Diablo Boots has been open for business for 60 years, selling Canadian-made quality boots. Diablo has Canada West work, biker and cowboy boots with fixable soles and heels. So why buy boots like Area, Justin, or Red Wing that are made in China? Get your money's worth with Diablo's Canada West tough, comfortable work boots. So save on boots by Save On Foods, 3340 Gateway Boulevard on the east side of Save On Foods. And does Diablo sell the best boots in town? You betcha.
Something strange in your neighborhood.
From Puck Drop.
Alberta.ca. Use promo code SUMMER. Get a $50 casino free play with a minimum $5 deposit. Use your game sense. Also streaming on Oilers Nation YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter, and on Instagram, Sports 1440. If you're not following us on any of those, go check us out. Make sure you give us a follow, a like, whatever it might be, subscription. We appreciate that. And if you're watching on the YouTube right now, hit that like button. I'm going to do so right now. T-Man, how you doing? Matt MLO, Reaper. Hope everyone's having a fantastic Monday and had a great weekend. What'd you do this weekend, Wanya Gretz?
Well, I lived a rich and full life, Connor. I'll tell you what I didn't do. I didn't really think too much about hockey. Got outside, played a little golf, did some work, summer stuff. You?
I was here on Saturday morning. Then I went to Castlewood Pub for the watch party.
How'd that go down?
It was good. Good little pizza there.
There you go.
Then Sunday was just family stuff.
Elks won.
Elks 3 straight. Are they a wagon?
Are they on fire?
I think so. They're running the show right now. We'll discuss that a little bit with Mark Spector later on today. Kevin Woodley, Vingle Magazine will be by. Talk some goaltending, trade requests, and we'll do a little scouting report on the newest member of the Edmonton Oilers. And we'll also talk to Andy Petrillo from CBC Sports and One Soccer. Get her thoughts on what's going on in the world of soccer and more. Text line 1-833-401-1440. That is the EWL inbox. Playoff Al says, hey boys, it's Playoff Al. All these fans ripping Broberg on Holloway need to get a grip. For them, hockey is a job, but not a game to play for fun. Would they turn down a dump truck full of money at their jobs if their bosses did that? Give me a break. It's a business, man. Winning is the ultimate goal, for sure. But money talks. Not just a great movie. Also truth. Dickie says, hello, fellas. Dickie here. I like when everyone texts in and says their name. When you're a younger player, you want to play. Can't blame the kids for signing. If they end up in St. Louis, they'll play every night. That's not guaranteed in Edmonton. It would be a shame if they go. Let's not forget the agents whispering in their ears. Love this show. Dickie, thank you for tuning in today. We appreciate it. And that's it. Like, what's your agent's job? It's to get you money, probably first, and then opportunity, I would think. Or is it whatever you want, I guess?
Playing time, if that's what you're in the game for.
If you're 22, 23 or younger, probably playing time. An opportunity to make more money. And Philip Broberg's agent, is it 10% commission for his agent typically?
No, I don't think it's that high.
Oh, 3%?
I think somewhere in that neighborhood.
I'm not a mathematician, but that's a pretty nice little payday there.
No doubt.
Big Rig Butcher texting in. Good chance Dry's going to make more than McDavid for a year. I can't see Broberg making more than Bouchard being an issue. Yeah, I mean, for Evan Bouchard, if this were to happen, it's a little more money that Broberg makes short term. Maybe it would even be advantageous for Evan Bouchard to say. You paid him 4.5. I want more. I was going to settle at 8.5, but now I want 9.1.
Because he makes 4 or 5?
I don't know. That you're paying him that. I'm a first pairing defenseman. I put up 45 more points. Let's scale it up a little bit. Maybe I was trying to spin the bottle and make it into a positive. I don't know.
I'd be like, I don't know, Boosh, do you want to win a cup?
Do you want to? Well, maybe they already won a cup. And he doesn't have that motivation. Chaos says, I know it's easy to say, but I would sooner play on a team with 97 and 29 with a good chance to win now. The pay will come if he's good enough. Players bet on themselves all the time.
I think a lot of players are really neurotic about injury. Maybe not Broberg in the specific instance, but I don't think most professional athletes know how the game can turn on a whim. And getting that locked in contract, especially in the NHL, I don't know. Do you think most players, Connor, would rather win or be like financially secure?
I don't know what the answer would be. Like most players, like I think it just varies player to player.
The consensus,
circumstances, though. Like I wonder, for a European-born player, is winning a Stanley Cup as big of a deal as it is for someone who grew up in North America, where it's been like that's been the goal all the time. Maybe Philip Broberg's like, I want to win an Olympic gold medal. I want to be a world champion. Maybe the Stanley Cup doesn't mean as much to him as getting paid. I'm not saying that's a fact. I'm just saying potentially, like, who knows? Maybe, it's just not as important. Not Fred says, also for guys like Broberg and Holloway, if they signed the deal with Edmonton, they wouldn't have free agent rights for another 3 to 4 years. So taking the offer isn't all that bad on their end. They would never get that money in Edmonton for at least another 3 years. You'd be an RFA the whole time. Well, it speeds things up, right?
When have we ever seen an athlete turn down guaranteed money? I mean, some guys will take a hometown discount.
Yeah.
Or get an extra year added on in term in exchange for a slight discount. But who's that one guy in the Knicks, Connor, who just turned down an absolutely enormous contract? He took a hometown discount with the Knicks to the tune of $100 million. And they're citing it as just the craziest thing.
Was it Brunson? Declan?
Yeah.
Was that what it was? Yeah, he could have waited another year and got a huge payday, but just signed it immediately. Yeah, at that point, it's like you're making so much money. Well, you just take it when you can get it now. But yeah, that doesn't happen too often. Joseph says, should the Oilers bring back Barry instead? Well, man, Joseph, he was struggling to get playing time in Nashville last year, and he was not winning over too many fans. So he had a good run in Edmonton, but I don't know 2 years later if he's the guy you want to count on too heavily.
Knicks guard Jalen Brunson would have been eligible for a 5-year, $269 million deal at the end of the 24-25 season, but instead opted to sign a 4-year, $156 million extension, leaving $113 million on the table.
Big time money.
Do not grow up to be like Jalen Brunson, kids.
Well, he's still got $156 million. Like, it's not exactly a $9 million.
That's like a 50% pay cut.
Yeah, but at some point, isn't it the old adage, like, how much do you really need? I agree. Listen, players should get as much as they want, as much as they can. But you're still making $156 million.
I bet he'll renegotiate that at some point, too.
Ooh.
Spice it up a little.
It's the Knicks.
It's the Knicks.
They're not going to win.
They're building up that, what college do they all go to? Villanova. The national team. I think they've got 4 former Villanova players now. Building it up.
If you play for the Leafs or you play for the Knicks, you know you're going to make a lot of money and you know you're not going to win.
Sam from Vancouver says, guys, one big difference is that the older guys already made a life-altering money. Henrique, Perry, Brown, Skinner, etc. made all the money already. Can't expect a young guy to turn that money down.
Preach.
KS says, good point. Connor, yeah, maybe winning the Stanley doesn't mean as much to a European. I never thought of that. Hey, I don't know. I really can't say, but maybe it's just not as high on their priority, especially when you're offered $9 million in 2 seasons. Stephen Watasquin says, the pieces the Oilers traded for will fill the gap for now. Might need extra cap space come the deadline. If I was Broberg or Holloway, I sign those offer sheets. It's a business. Careers are short and cups are hard to win in today's day and age. And that, Steve, I really like what you said at the top there. The pieces, the extra cap space, like that could go a long way. That second and third round pick you would get if they are to walk. Those could be big in the trade deadline. So extra little things like that, if they decide to let both players walk, it would make sense. VR Greg says, we were all pumping the president's tires with the Skinner, Arvidsson, and Henrique signings. The air is being let out quickly. V. Greg, unless they win a cup this year, Greg, then all of a sudden we're back on the bandwagon, loving exactly what happened. David says, hi, guys, I can't blame Broberg. If the Oilers management showed higher commitment, which is often equated as financial and playing time, he wouldn't be contemplating offer sheets. All the blame lies with Oilers brass. David.
Is anyone messaging in, Connor, suggesting what we should do? Is anyone come messaging saying who to keep them both, let them both leave? Are we getting a consensus? Do we get any sort of plan forming in the text line?
I'll get to that. No, but it's a lot. It's not too many of those. Not too many plans. Like quick opinions. Doesn't have a handle yet. Said Jets fan here. Laine was a stud in Winnipeg. He got eaten alive by a harsh leadership group there. Blake Wheeler didn't put up with Laine's childish PlayStation addict complex.
Interesting.
I heard he did like to play video games quite a bit.
What a fool.
Entourage from Calgary, Nikitin. Yeah, I think I said something else earlier. Nikitin Nikushkin or something. Yeah, it was Nikita Nikitin, former Oiler to wear number 86. Here you go. No name on this one. I hope they let them both walk and use money elsewhere. I can't imagine Broberg walking back into that locker room, getting overpaid and looking at the other guys who took pay cuts to win. But
who?
Yeah, like I don't think Corey Perry and Jeff Skinner are going to be like, they might say as a joke, you're buying dinner, kid. But I don't think they're going to hold it against them. They've been through that process. They got paid.
They've both made $100 million in their careers.
They don't need it. And Jason Strudwick, former NHLer, last Tuesday on this show, before I even asked, said there's going to be no problem with him going back into the room.
Career earnings for Jason Strudwick, $200 million.
Invest wisely, kid.
Jalen Brunson money.
That's the real money. Okay, we're going to take a break here. When we come back, we're going to talk some soccer and a whole lot more with Andy Petrillo of CBC Sports. And One Soccer, it is the Jason Gregor Show. Connor Halley, Wanya Gretz, Declan Kruger, Donovan Paulson here with you live on Sports 1440, as well as Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. Brought to you by PlayAlberta.ca.
The only thing as hot as the weather this summer is a night out at On the Rocks. Every weekend, enjoy live music and top DJs spinning your favorite tracks. The dance floor is the place to be. Celebrating a birthday or stagette? Let OTR take the work out of the planning for you. Book your party online at ontherocksedmonton.com. Join OTR every evening from 4 p.m. for a great atmosphere and good company. There's something for everyone to enjoy. Grab your Good Vibe Drive and head to On the Rocks, corner of Jasper Ave and 118th Street.
In 1973, deep in the basement of an Edmonton family home, an elite team of specialized forces came together to form Action Electrical.
Action Electrical Divisions, assemble!
Projects team reporting.
Service team reporting.
Testing team reporting.
Energy team reporting.
Supercharged with skills in their electrical fields and grounded by strong family values. Facing an electrical menace? Call on the men and women of Action. Operating throughout Alberta at actionelectrical.net.
Legacy Heating and Cooling is your supplier of maximum comfort, bringing you the cool AC you need. You just have to
call Legacy. Call Legacy.
For comfort at night when the hot air suffocates you.
Call Legacy. Call Legacy.
For comfort in your wallet with no payments or interest for 1 year.
Call Legacy. Call Legacy.
You deserve comfort. Cool off today with AC from Legacy Heating and Cooling.
The summer road lays ahead. Your potential destinations are endless. Volvo Cars Edmonton gives you choice to match. Right now, lease a 2024 Volvo XC90 from 0% for qualifying loyal customers. Or save $7,000 on all new 2024 XC60 recharge plug-in hybrid models. All demo vehicles come with a free 10-year, 1 million kilometer warranty. No matter what you decide this summer will become, your first choice is Volvo Cars Edmonton. VolvoCarsEdmonton.com, 1205 101 Street Southwest.
Honk your home for Papa John's newest deal. It's one big deal for one big pizza. An extra large New York style one topping pizza for only $17.99. Papa John's original fresh, never frozen dough. Hand stretched thinner to make 8 extra large slices with your favorite mouth-watering toppings. So hold and fold that slice like a New Yorker. Bigger is better when it comes to pizza. Better ingredients, better pizza. Better get some extra large New York style one topping pizza for only $17.99 at Papa John's.
I'm Rick Showers from No Bull RV. Anything that's exposed to the elements or has moving parts needs regular maintenance. And when you consider an RV, well, it falls into both categories. Lots of moving parts and sitting out all the time, which is why we hire the best RV technicians in Alberta to come work here at our new, bigger store in Leduc.
Noble has giant indoor service space that can hold the biggest RVs in the world.
That's right, Bob. The vast majority of our indoor space at Noble is dedicated to service and repair. You spend the summer in the great outdoors, and we spend the winter doing scheduled maintenance, so you're ready to go next season.
Sounds like a year-round thing, Rick.
That's it exactly, Bob. Our techs are the most highly experienced men and women in the business. We're solving problems and creating solutions every day. Whatever your used RV needs, our service team has seen it before and knows exactly what to do.
And that's Noble.
NobleRV.ca.
Kruger. Donovan Paulson with you here from the eWell Studios in West Edmonton Mall. The Jason Gregor Show is brought to you by PlayAlberta.ca. You can use code word SUMMER, get $50 at the casino with a minimum of $5 deposit. Make sure to use your game sense. A few more texts rolling in here. Had a good one come in from Liam. Liam of Oilers Nation. Friend of the building, I would say.
Hello, Liam.
Connor, it's Liam. How would you feel if the Oilers' right side next season is Bouchard, Stetcher, and Emberson? My problem is that's not many right-handed defensemen available at the deadline. I think we would say that's not a right side you win Stanley Cups with. So, and if there's not many available at the deadline, doesn't look very good. So that's another reason. Give Broberg the money.
Oh no!
What do you guys think? Bouchard, Stetcher, Emberson, right side. I guess you could look at Justin Schultz or Tyson Barrie. Those are the popular names we get at the text line, but is that really enough?
Old Oilers being retread is not the answer.
But it's a popular suggestion.
That's because we would love to see Justin Schultz come back just so we can say Jolts again.
You would.
Many would. Many of us would.
Right now, let's talk some soccer with Andy Petrillo of CBC Sports. And One Soccer, she did an amazing job covering the Olympics so far. Andy, or earlier on this month. Andy, good afternoon. How are you doing?
I'm great, gentlemen. I'm just going to let you know I am on vacation, hence the hair looking the way it does. I may have been at the beach today. So I am getting in some relaxation time, though, while slowly getting my groove back after, the marathon that is the Olympics.
I just wanted to say before we get started, Andy, I thought you did a really great job during the broadcast. And I was watching and saying, well, there's the lady that we talk to quite regularly on the Gregor Show. And you did a great job. How did the Olympics in Paris rank? How many have you been to? And then how did that rank compared to the other Olympics?
Well, this one was a little different. So this was actually the first one, well, other than the COVID ones, but this one, because we did something very different from, other Olympic shows, which is we had a panel. This one was actually done in Toronto. Whereas the other ones that I've been to, yeah, we've been on location. You've either been in a co-host or a single host position, but they've kind of did that one. Obviously, if you watched it, it was like, talk show slash what you would see in the pro game, which is your host and your analyst. So in order to have that big pomp and circumstance, that big set, we did it from home. But I would say even just, the way things were done for Paris from a Canadian athlete perspective, as you guys probably already know the numbers, the most successful Summer Olympics, non-boycotted Summer Olympics with the 9 gold and the 27 medals. So Canada went one day, I believe, without picking up a medal. One day out of all the days that the Olympics were competed. So there was always something to talk about, always something to celebrate. So that definitely stood out to me as a broadcaster, because there can sometimes be lulls in an Olympics and you're trying to, there's always an international story to share, but let's be honest, a lot of people watching want to know the Canadian story. And if they're not performing, sometimes that can be very difficult for the Canadian audience. So the Canadian athletes, did the country proud for sure.
And lots of great things happening at those Olympic Games. And one of the big storylines was the Canadian women's national team and the players themselves. Outstanding work to do what they did with all they had to go through. But we do know there's a little bit of a scandal there with some of the higher ups and Bev Priestman. Have you heard any updates on the fallout from this?
So I just spoke to people at Canada Soccer, and the investigation is still ongoing. Obviously, FIFA conducted theirs, which is why Bev Priestman and the 2 assistants, and Jasmine and Joseph, have been suspended for a year. But now it's the third-party investigation that Canada Soccer launched themselves. And right now that is ongoing. So there's nothing that's been announced. We're obviously hoping, and Canada Soccer is also hoping, that within 2 weeks, they'll have some sort of answer when it comes to, because here's the thing, even though Bev has been suspended for a year, they want the process to play out, because if there is something there where there is some sort of innocence, naivete, Canada Soccer has to keep that door open. They have to give Bev Priestman the benefit of the doubt. If it comes back, and by the way, Andy Spence, the assistant who took over during the Olympics, right now, he will continue to coach, unless, of course, he is pulled into, you'd have to assume he's been looking at or being looked at as well by this third-party investigator. If something comes from him, they need to know this. They have games coming up in a couple months. They need to know if they're looking for a new head coach and if they're looking for new assistants. But in the meantime, they have to let the investigation play out to give Bev Priestman the benefit of the doubt. And as we know, gentlemen, and if you noticed, when Bev Priestman even made her first announcement while the Olympics were still going on, she did so under a lawyer. Very quickly do they lawyer up. And if things aren't done by the book, very quickly do lawsuits come about, right? So Canada Soccer is very aware of that. They're being sensitive to that. So there's not been made any kind of move right now to replace her as head coach, because they want the investigation to play out. But hopefully that comes about in a couple weeks. Obviously, the greater investigation, too, will go into the men's side of things. There seems to be a lot more positivity, especially with new coach Jesse Marsh, that what happened at Copa America, a lot of people have faith that, which he did, this is what we're hearing from various reports, that when it was presented to him to spy with a drone, he went, get that out of my face. That's not going to happen under my watch. So Canada Soccer is very confident that nothing will come about anything with Jesse Marsh, but with Bev Priestman, still waiting on third-party investigation results for that.
Andy Petrillo of CBC Sports and One Soccer joining us here on the Jason Gregor Show. Connor Halley and Wanye Gretz sitting in for the vacationing Jason today. So, going forward here, let's say it all plays out. Andy Spence, maybe he's the option, maybe he's not. Bev Priestman, I guess we'll have to wait and see for sure what happens. But a year down the line, if Bev Priestman is, able and allowed to coach, do you think Canada Soccer wants to keep her, or would there be a push to move on?
It's a tough one, because I think they're playing by the legal books right now. I think they're doing that, because the reality is she has been suspended by FIFA for a year. So you're not going to have her as a coach. You have friendlies that are coming up. You probably have another kind of invitational, the She Believes Cup, like all these tournaments, that are now coming up for the women, that now exist for the women. Now you're once again kind of looking at other qualifications and other things that happen. She is not going to be your coach for the next year. And then to your point, do you want someone that carries this kind of reputation with them? There's some pretty damning evidence. Obviously, we know the email that came out with her basically sending an email to somebody saying, hey, can you believe this person? Obviously, I'm paraphrasing here, but basically the gist of the email was, can you believe this younger person here who's come on board is refusing to spy? This is what we do. Started on the men's side. This is what we do. Can you believe they're not willing to do it? So, guys, you can third-party investigation, whatever. There's guilt there because that email alone was admission of it. So I just don't know how she comes back as the head coach. I do have to be very honest about that, because how do you also go a full year? The team has moved on. How does the team trust her? That's the big thing here, right? Because if we take the players at their word, which, they've been adamant, they've all been doing interviews since they've been coming back as well, saying, we were unaware of any of this. How do you regain their trust? How does that, there's so much that's been broken here. There's so much that's been damaged here that I think regardless, you do have to move on. But like I said before, I think Canada Soccer is doing everything right legally at the moment. And they're just, going with the investigation until they make any of their next moves.
So, Andy, now John Herdman coaching with TFC now, obviously his name popped up in this discussion. Is he going to be allowed to coach the second leg of the Canadian Championship on August 27th when TFC takes on Forge?
So I have inquired about that, because that would be the one power Canada Soccer does have. Obviously, he's not a Canada Soccer employee anymore, so there's nothing they can do retroactively. He's done, he's gone. But the one thing they do still have control over is the Canadian Championship. That is the Canada Soccer property. So they could say, pending an investigation, maybe it's best that you don't take part in this. From what they've told me, right now they don't want to do that. Because again, playing the legal game, they're like, okay, that email came out, but that's Bev Priestman's word. Other reports have come out, but that's, former players or unnamed sources' word, right? So until the investigation has proven without a doubt that John Herdman started it, part of it, engaged in it, again, they don't want to take any chances that could come back and backfire, because at the moment, what they're dealing with is hearsay. At the moment, what they're dealing with is other people saying John Herdman was part of this, but obviously he himself has publicly said that he did not do these types of things. An investigation has not come out yet implicating him. So Canada Soccer doesn't want to take the initiative on anything that could backfire. I did ask them if it was like, well, maybe out of an abundance of caution, could you do it? And they still are really relying on this third-party investigation to give them answers, which they hope will come within a couple weeks, which, of course, that second leg will be played next week against Forge. I haven't heard anything from Forge. It doesn't sound like Bobby Smirniotis has launched any kind of complaints. So as of right now, it looks like he will be able to coach that, but a lot of people will be raising their eyebrows at that for sure.
Andy Petrillo joining us from the Jason Gregor Show, talking some soccer here. And good news, with Copa wrapping up just over a month ago and Canada's fantastic performance finishing fourth, it did kind of put the spotlight on some of their younger players, getting new teams a little more attention to them. This is one of those side effects of success that is really going to help grow this national team in the program, because we're seeing guys going to play some of the top leagues in Europe.
We really are. And this is, it's no surprise. This is exactly what happened as well when they qualified for the World Cup and you started to see some movement. And hopefully now these are moves that'll get playing time for the players. That's the key, right? And I keep going back, and I know it was the one, but it's enough to, fool me once, right? Kind of like shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me. But I always go back to it, because Richie Larea is always the cautionary tale. But the other ones all worked out, so perhaps we should be focusing more on that. But you're right, like Liam Miller making the move to Hull City. It's a championship team. Obviously, it's the one below the Premier League, but I think he's going to get the playing time. That's where Liam Miller's going to get playing time. We really saw how good he looked on that left side, in particular with Jesse Marsh playing Alphonso Davies as that left back. He pushed Liam Miller up a little further, him being more of that wing back, and the two of them really looked good together. Obviously, Jacob Schaffelberg coming on in was a great option there, but Liam Miller, you can only imagine with him getting more playing time, at the championship division with Hull City, I think is great. During Copa, it came out that Ishmael Kone had made the move to Marseille. Now he's going to be joined by Derek Cornelius, who looked excellent in that center back position alongside Moise Bombito. Derek Cornelius was playing in Sweden. He did end up getting a championship with the team there in Malmo, but now making that move again to Ligue 1, which, by the way, I feel like this is the Jonathan David effect, right? Jonathan David, the Canadian, going on over playing with Lille. All of a sudden, the French league is like, we love Canadians. So, Jonathan David goes on over there. Now we're going to see Kone. Now we're also going to see Derek Cornelius. Both of them are going to be playing at Marseille. And then Moise Bombito, who, fantastic, has now made the move from the Colorado Rapids to Nice. So he's now playing in France as well. So these are just some of the moves that, you just know, given the way that they play. Again, Derek Cornelius and Moise Bombito look fantastic as that center back pairing. It doesn't surprise me that they ended up moving up to leagues where they will see tougher competition. And right away, when they made these moves, they started to get some playing time. So hopefully, this is something that'll translate into more playing time, which ends up looking good for the national team, which will be in action again September 7th and September 10th when they play those games against USA and Mexico. So this is why these types of tournaments matter. Because yes, from a national perspective, we want to see them do well. From a national perspective, we want to at some point see them start coming home with some trophies. But from the individual professional aspects, these matter because these players get seen on a bigger scale, on a global scale. Now they can start making these moves. Now they can start opening doors for other Canadians. Now they can start creating these pathways. Now, you would hope European leagues are going, hey, signing a Canadian isn't all that bad, right? And we're not seen as this country that doesn't produce talent. We're now starting to be seen as a country that does. So these are massive moves. I just think for the players, but also just for the bigger scope of what Canada soccer is doing.
Totally agree. It's really cool to see, and especially for the younger kids, the younger generation, seeing local homegrown talent going to play in Europe and play in these major leagues. It's only going to help the team, the program, and looking forward to seeing who's the next one to make that jump and go play. Andy, thanks so much for doing this. We're sorry we interrupted your vacation here. Go back to it, and hopefully you can go and relax a little bit more today.
Not at all. I need to start getting back into it. I love it, but I will probably go sit by the pool again.
Excellent. Thanks, Andy.
Bye, guys.
There you go. Andy Petrillo, CBC Sports and One Soccer. I respect that commitment. I went on vacation. I didn't come on the show once.
There's a reason why Andy's at the Olympics, Connor.
Oh,
got that extra
good
level.
point.
She's got that extra level. Would you want to be on site in London, or would you think being in Toronto, maybe a little bit more closer to home, is a better play?
Talking France?
Yeah.
Paris?
Yeah. I mean, when you're in LA, different, but
I'd want to be in Paris.
On the ground?
I'd be RG3 with those croissants.
What'd he do?
Oh, you didn't see the picture? No. He was going.
Was he eating the croissant all crazy?
Yeah. Yeah. He was,
what did they do? Did they let him go from his broadcast job? Yes, they did.
I don't think maybe it was related to the.
I assume it was croissant related.
It had to be. It only makes sense. Declan, I'm sorry. You sent me a text. You wanted me to ask her about a fan of, or a player you're a fan of, and I totally forgot. Cole Palmer.
Oh, that's okay.
What I'll tell you is he was a part of the losing squad over the weekend.
Hey, man. Come on. Stop that. No, it's okay. Got it to you late. Not really your speciality. Just thought I'd throw it in there.
We're talking
soccer talk.
We're talking EPL tomorrow, English Premier League, Liverpool up 2-0. Well, 1-2-0 over the weekend. Mo Salah scoring a nice little goal, setting up another.
Got an expert coming on tomorrow.
The Woz
Washington of Oilers Nation. Former footy podcast host, to the point that Declan said, I loved his old soccer show. The 90th minute?
I did. Yeah, I'll stand by that. Yes, the 90th minute. It was him, Liam Peace, Greg, Matt Elk. I'm just not going to name the whole list, but it was a great cast of characters they put together.
Well, our secret plan tomorrow, gentlemen, and we'll let the listeners of 1440 in, is we have to convince Woz to start soccer podcasting again. We don't do less shows. We do more shows.
And we will.
That's the nation way. So tomorrow when he talks, you got to be like, damn, Woz, you should have a podcast. Maybe a couple texters can text in.
Has anyone told you this before?
Yeah. Sometimes you just need a little pumping up.
Montana or I said, bro, Connor, don't say that. And then sent the picture of Robert Griffin III in the croissant.
It's sus.
It was pretty funny. Someone actually texted in earlier today, Montana to Rice, saying, like, I finally get it. Montana to Rice must be a Niners fan. I thought he just loved Montana, the state.
The state of Montana
But
and the
no.
food dish of rice.
We're talking Joe Montana to Jerry Rice. I'd be Rivers to Gates if I was my moniker using athletes.
My favorite moment of the Olympics is how far our dear friend Snoop has come, Connor. If you go back to the beginning of time and you go 1991 Snoop, 1992 Snoop, murder was the case Snoop, sitting in court Snoop, and you're like, guess what? You're going to go to the Summer Olympics in Paris, Snoop, in 2024, and they're going to pay you $500,000 a day US plus travel expenses to do it. Would you like $7 million US to go to the Olympics? He'll be like, what's the future about?
What did I do right?
You've come a long way, Snoop.
Snoop is awesome. Sean says, so we are all smart enough to know now the Oilers aren't matching either offer sheet now, right? I don't know, Sean. Maybe. Has something broken that we missed?
Sean must know.
Let us know.
Has Army Rob texted in?
Daryl.
Army Daryl. Has he texted in and said, stop being funny? If you're listening, Army Daryl.
He did, and he actually addressed you specifically. He said me and Connor were doing a great job, though.
Is that what he said?
No.
Army Daryl.
We salute you. Let's take a break. When we come back, 5 questions on the Jason Gregor Show here on Sports 1440 and the Oilers Nation YouTube and Facebook. Also, Twitter and X. Hello to you guys tuning in. We appreciate it. Hit that like button. We'll be back right after this. The show, as always, brought to you by PlayAlberta.ca.
Rule number 41. Never challenge a goose in the Bow Valley. They run this town and they know it. Summer in Alberta has its own set of rules. And if you're looking to add a little extra fun, Play Alberta has it all. Use promo code SUMMER to snag a $50 casino bonus for casino, instance, and live dealer with your next deposit. Get ready for promotions throughout the summer to help you make the most of those sunny Alberta days. Because we all know they don't last long enough. Bonus terms and conditions apply.
I take possession of my commercial space in 3 months. I need lighting. I need a fire alarm. I need data. I need a generator. I need panels.
Sounds like a job for the men and women of Action Electrical.
Projects team reporting. We design, build, and construct all the electrical systems for your projects. Need everything to work right? Get the Action Electrical project team on your site.
Facing an electrical menace? Call the men and women of Action. Operating throughout Alberta at actionelectrical.net.
Silent Rides is one of Alberta's premier bus charter companies with state-of-the-art motor coaches. We provide our customers with the safest and most reliable ground transportation. Our seatbelt-equipped buses have become the preferred carrier for many local sports teams, tours, corporate outings, and other various travel across Western Canada. For more information and to request a quote, contact Ted Nakamura at 780-940-0880 or visit silentrides.ca.
Honk your horn for Papa John's newest deal. It's one big deal for one big pizza. An extra large New York style one topping pizza for only $17.99. Papa John's original fresh, never frozen dough. Hand stretched thinner to make 8 extra large slices with your favorite mouth-watering toppings. So hold and fold that slice like a New Yorker. Bigger is better when it comes to pizza. Better ingredients, better pizza. Better get some extra large New York style one topping pizza for only $17.99 at Papa John's.
It's the Brick Summer Sleep Event. There's never been a better time to save big on bedroom items, like up to 50% off select mattresses and up to 40% off select pillows. So you can get a great night's sleep without breaking the bank and take up to $300 off select major kitchen appliances. Plus, from Friday to Monday only, find mattresses starting at just $149 and fabric beds starting at just $199. Some exclusions apply. See in store for details. The Brick, saving you more.
Declan Kruger, Wanya Gretz, Donovan Paulson with you here from the eWell Studios here in West Edmonton Mall. The show is always brought to you by PlayAlberta.ca. 1-833-401-1440. That is the text line if you'd like to send in your questions, comments, or as my old friend Jeff Gershell likes to say, smart remarks. 1-833-401-1440. It's about that time as I find the liner for 5 questions brought to you by The Brick. I will say, I went into The Brick on Saturday. Ashley and I are looking for a new bed. Extra firm.
Yeah.
Man, I don't know. When I was younger, I'm like, ooh, a water bed. Now I'm like, give me that firm bed. Maybe it's like a little spongy thing on the top, but I want a firm bed now.
Did you have a water bed before?
When I was young, my parents did.
Really?
Yeah. Did you ever have one?
No, my cousin did. And one time the heater broke on it.
And, yeah, the heater?
Well, I mean, it was winter time. They live in Ontario. I don't know. And they're like, you have to sleep on your cousin's water bed. And he goes, oh, no, this is going to be awful. The heater's broken. And that water drew our body heat out the entire night, Connor. I barely survived. I barely made it through here just to make it here today, a mere 300 years later.
Oh, well, anyways, The Brick, sick for beds. Like, if I had a shopping spree there, I would do some damage because they got some great stuff. But 5 question is brought to you by The Brick. You can check out The Brick's fabulous summer sleep event for all your bedroom needs, from mattresses, bedding, and frames to nightstands, dressers, and decor at The Brick and thebrick.com.
This is what you need.
It's time for 5 questions on the Jason Gregor Show.
Very quickly, yes, it is what I need. And I think it was like half price. Go check it out, The Brick. Declan.
Yeah, immediately after you hit me with thebrick.com, I didn't expect Wanya to jump in there. So my apologies for that, guys. Question number 1. Sum up the Cody Ceci to San Jose trade in one sentence that is 10 words or less.
Had to happen.
Yeah, I can do it in one word. Is that 10 words or less? Necessary. I'm sorry, Cody. I didn't want to see you leave.
That's it. Thank you, Cody, comma. It was necessary. Period.
Thebrick.com.
Try the fish tacos.
There you go.
2 sentences, though.
Sorry. Thank you, Cody. This was necessary.
I think I got the gist. Okay. Question number 2. The Elks have now won 3 in a row. Will they be a playoff team?
I'm going to say yeah. Like, it's crazy to think, but this is just kind of the way I thought it was going to happen when they got their first win. First half of the season wasn't terrific. I know that. There were some bad losses in there, but there was a lot of good as well. I mean, there was competitive games, lost a bunch of games by field goals, and it was just silly mental mistakes, which I think like they're starting to clean up. I think they're going to keep it going here. You're going to get Trey Ford back at some point, but it was sure nice to see that McLeod Bethel Thompson could go out there and be as efficient as he was. The West isn't as strong as it used to be. The East, who knows? Maybe there's a crossover team coming, but I think the state of the CFL right now, it's opened it up for the Elks to go on a bit of a run here and potentially sneak back into playoffs, which I think they will.
It's hard for me to say, Connor, because I'm not really paying attention. Is every team in the West under 500? How is this working? Is every team in the CFL under 500 this season?
Well, to be honest, the last couple weeks here, it's actually kind of worked out pretty well for the Elks. Like, teams they need to lose are losing. The BC Lions lost that last night. The Stampeders losing a couple games have allowed the Elks to keep it within striking distance. Got to remember, I mean, this game on Sunday is going to be tough because it's Montreal, probably the best team in the CFL when everything's going. Then you got 2 games against the Stampeders. So if you can keep it within one game, you're right there to really pounce. You got the Labor Day and the Labor Day rematch. So, hey, I think Kevin Garnett said it best. Anything is possible.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, the Elks are in a position to pounce.
Question number 3. Patrik Laine has been traded to the Montreal Canadiens. What is a realistic best case scenario for him and the club in your guys' mind?
You said realistic best case scenario, but in the email I have, Declan, it says, what is the absolute best case scenario? I'd like to phone a friend to get some clarity on the question.
For sure. Valid. I did say absolute best case scenario, but then I thought like that leads to just some unrealistic expectations that he's going to be a 150-point man. I don't think any of us think that's going to happen, but naturally that and a Stanley Cup would be the absolute best case scenario. So that's why I had to do a little audible on the fly football reference. Not a big deal. What is the realistic best case scenario?
I mean, I think you alluded to it. A return to form would be what the Habs are banking on, and Patrik maybe as well. Realistic best case scenario? I don't know, man. Maybe like 25 goals, Connor.
I think, geez, I mean, his talent can't be questioned. His ability to put the puck in the net when he's on is elite. So I'll say realistic. I mean, can he get to 35? Could he get to 40? I don't know about 40. I'll say 35, and best case scenario for the Montreal Canadiens as a team, playoff appearance. Losing round one, I don't think they're good enough to do much more than that. But I'll say a playoff appearance would be fantastic in year one of the Line A era.
Question number 4. The Hamilton Tiger Cats have hired Chris Jones as a senior defensive assistant. What are your expectations for him with his new club?
Well, they just gave up a 40 burger on the Elks, so I think it's going to be improved. Chris Jones' specialty is defense. That's kind of where he made his hay with the Elks back when they won the Grey Cup. He built a very good defensive team. Now, they did have a very good offensive group as well. Ed Hervey built a really good squad, but those two they seemingly have a good relationship for building up teams when they're on the same page here. I think Chris Jones coming into to be the defensive coordinator, it's going to go a long way. So I think it's going to be a very good hire for the Hamilton Tiger Cats. We're seeing now with the Elks winning football games, Jones did build an okay team. It just couldn't bring it all together. Maybe there was too much on his plate. But when it comes to just defense, I think it's going to be a very good hire.
Well, Declan, I defer to my colleague because that was a robust answer. He showed his work. 10 marks on the exam, Connor. 10 out of 10 for your answer.
Thank you.
Defer.
And question number 5. Becoming a bit of a reoccurring theme with the three of us. What is your Mount Rushmore of movie quotes?
Are we going to do how many quotes here first? Just one each?
I don't know. I was thinking, you tossed out 4, get an actual Mount Rushmore up there. But if that's too much, we can do a couple. Whatever
you want to know my favorite quote in Forrest Gump, Declan?
Is it life is like a box of chocolates?
Nope. No. You want me to do it in a forced voice?
Yes, please.
One day, Jenny, they'll have a shrimp restaurant at a mall in Canada named after me. You'll see. That's one of my Mount Rushmore movie lines.
Was that took place outside the DC Memorial?
That's right. You
Okay.
remember. Yeah. The bus was leaving.
Oh, that's right.
You told her that.
Do you have 3 more?
You know what a funny line is, all seriousness? These snosberries taste like snosberries. From
Super Troopers.
Super Troopers. My friend said that for a year before I realized that, because I hadn't seen Super Troopers. And when I saw the movie, I phoned him and said, "You didn't invent that. Super Troopers said it." I thought he was hilarious for a year.
So are we talking like our favorites or like just great classic lines?
Like I would say it's your own personal Mount Rushmore. So I think it should be a healthy mix. Like they're on the Mount Rushmore for a reason, but it's yours, you got to stay true to yourself.
So like one that I love to quote from Superbad is just people don't forget.
Classic.
The guy, peed his pants. People don't forget.
No.
That's one for me. I would also say, remember the Titans. Remember the night they played the Titans. Good one. Then some classic ones. You talking to me?
Oh wow.
Taxi driver.
Yep.
And then, so I watched Apocalypse Now.
Yeah.
Oh, are they grittying outside? I watched Apocalypse Now last year, or a couple years ago, for the movie watch on back in the day with the Gregor Show.
What's movie watch?
Well, because I don't see very many movies. So
like The Matrix, Connor?
Yeah.
Right.
So I would have to go and watch a classic movie every week, or like a fan nominated one.
Oh wow.
And Robert Duvall, Apocalypse Now. Love the smell of napalm in the morning. Good line, good movie. So I guess I'll have that rounded out. So some personal ones and then some classic real ones.
That was a good Mount Rushmore.
What would a Mount Rushmore of text look like, Connor? It wouldn't lend itself well to sculpting. Just imagining standing there with the family at the national park looking up at the Mount Rushmore of movie lines. Can you make those words I'd say to the kids?
No, it'd be too far away.
Too far away.
Declan, what do you got?
So one of them I would definitely have, I love the smell of napalm in the morning. I would have Play It Sam, Play As Time Goes By from Casablanca.
Come on, Declan. You can't have enjoyed Casablanca.
I loved Casablanca.
Is that so?
I loved Casablanca. Saw it at the Garneau Theater by myself. Thought it was great.
dear.
Loved it. One of the best movies I've ever seen. Not necessarily my favorite, but one of the best.
By design or stood up?
No, it stood up. Like you could just tell every trope ever came from that movie. It was great. I would probably say I'm Having an Old Friend for Dinner from Silence of the Lambs.
Not bad.
And man, I probably should have thought. I didn't actually know if it was going to come to me, so I didn't put together a Mount Rushmore. I might say Forget It, Jake. It's Chinatown from Chinatown. That might be my 4.
Not bad. Mark says, "Hey boys, you're killing me, Smalls."
Ooh,
Sandlot. Take the gun, leave the cannoli. IMAC, just when I thought you couldn't be any dumber, you go ahead and do this and totally redeem yourself. Dumb and Dumber.
Had a lot of good ones out there.
Say hello to my little friend.
Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn. That's another one that could be on my Rushmore.
A little bogey.
I loved Gone with the Wind as well. One, you might hate me for that one, but I love that movie as well. It's like 4 hours, but I thought it was great.
I don't hate you, Declan. I just can't picture what decade you were raised in. Is it World War II? Or are you a 70s baby? What's going on?
I like to appreciate all eras.
I'm going to make him an offer he can't refuse.
Godfather. Classic.
I didn't sell it the way I should, but.
One time I had my wisdom teeth pulled out, and I watched all 3 Godfathers in one day, back to back to back, and I can't remember any of it. I sat through them all, Connor.
What did you think of Godfather 4?
Godfather 4? Was it a musical? I didn't know they made 4. I thought they only made 3.
It was a Broadway production.
Wow. Tricky.
In the mind of Jason Struddy.
Text Struddy. He'll tell you.
What do you mean? He thought there was 4 Godfathers?
You haven't heard this little
No.
story? Yeah, he genuinely thought there was a 4th Godfather.
Oh dear.
To like being so convinced to where people had like texted like, I actually thought that there was a 4th Godfather because Struddy really believes it. I was having a hot and ready in my car driving home.
What? Do you have a microwave in your car?
From taping Eric Thomas the day he said that. I remember exactly where I was. I was like, what's he talking about? Godfather 4. Yeah, he really did think that was a movie.
Mandela effect?
But like nobody,
did he have a plot line for it?
No, nobody else thought so. Just it wasn't like the Berenstain Bears or anything. Or one of those effects. Sean says, I'll be back.
Struddy operates on such a different plane than the rest of us that he has his own Mandela effects.
You guys, he was a VIP in New York. It's possible he's seen a 4th movie that us normal people don't get to see. And he's like, ooh, I almost let that secret out.
Kurt also saying, I'll be back. Cam says, if you build it, they will come. Field of Dreams. And then final one. Question. How many points does Dry get against the Blues knowing they made his boy Ceci leave?
That's not a movie quote.
I know, but I think it's going to be point night when the Oilers played the Blues. They disrupted the master plan. They must pay.
I think St. Louis isn't very good, and they'll probably just pay as a matter of course.
Would have been a playoff team if they were in the East. That's what Andy Strickland told us. But you know what they say about ifs?
If ifs and buts were candy and nuts, we'd all have a Merry Christmas.
Precisely. That's the saying.
That's how I was raised, Connor. Old school.
That'll do, pig. That'll do. Babe? Well, there's some good quotes coming in here. 1-833-401-1440. Keep those coming in. Maybe we'll ask Spec. That's kind of the tradition. We've always asked Spec Declan's final question. Mount Rushmore of quotes. We'll see what he has to say. But let's take a break. We'll get to Spec when we come back, and Kevin Woodley of In Goal Magazine, and a whole lot more here on the Jason Gregor Show. Connor Halley, Donovan Paulson, Declan Kruger, Wanya Gretz. We're all here. Show's brought to you by PlayAlberta.ca. Let's get to a Sports 1440 update, though. Brought to you by Booster Juice. You can visit a Booster Juice to try the cookies and cream booster ball, the yummy little bundle of almond butter, maple syrup, coconut, and gluten-free cookies. Download the Boosters Rewards app and order one today only at Booster Juice.
This is a Sports 1440 update.
And for your Sports 1440 update, news out of the NHL is the Montreal Canadiens have acquired forward Patrik Laine and a 2026 second-round pick from the Blue Jackets in exchange for defenseman Jordan Harris. News in the CFL as Toronto Argonauts quarterback Chad Kelly has been running the first-team offense at practice today, which could be an indicator that he will be getting the start against the Saskatchewan Roughriders on Thursday. Chad Kelly recently had his meeting with CFL Commissioner Randy Ambrosie on Friday. The Montreal Alouettes have brought back star wide receiver Austin Mack after an NFL stint with the Atlanta Falcons, and The Hamilton Tiger Cats are officially hiring former Elks coach and GM Chris Jones as their senior defensive assistant. MLB action, one game going on right now. Diamondbacks and Marlins tied 0-0 in at the top of the second. Getting going in about 6 minutes time here, we will see the Cincinnati Reds in Toronto taking on the Blue Jays. Kevin Gossman on the mound at that one with an official 5:07 first pitch. Also on the schedule today, Orioles and Mets, Pirates and Rangers, Angels and Royals, Red Sox and Astros, Twins and Padres, Rays and A's, White Sox and Giants, and the late game will see the Seattle Mariners in LA taking on the Dodgers. 3 games in the WNBA set to start any moment here as the Cameron Brinkless LA Sparks are in Connecticut to take on the Sun, the Wings in New York to take on the Liberty, and the Seattle Storm heading out east to take on the Washington Mystics. Premier League action from earlier today. It was Leicester City and Tottenham tying 1-1. Jamie Vardy's equalizer in the 57th minute, getting Leicester the single point on the day. In hour 4 of the Jason Gregor Show, we'll be joined by Mark Spector of Rogers Sportsnet and Kevin Woodley of In Goal Magazine. I'm Declan Kruger, and this has been a Sports 1440 update.
Sports 1440 in West Edmonton Mall and Wetaskiwin. CKJR is a Stingray radio station.
Download the free radio player app and listen wherever you go.
You turn on the tap and water comes out. You press the handle and flush the toilet. Living in our modern world, we sometimes take for granted or don't even think about all of the services and conveniences that are around us every day. But GS Construction does. Right under your feet, there's a whole network of underground infrastructure that needs to be built and maintained in order to have these basic services. GS Construction has been laying the groundwork for your community for 50 years. Find out more by going to gsconstruction.ca.
Honk your home for Papa John's newest deal. It's one big deal for one big pizza. An extra large New York style one topping pizza for only $17.99. Papa John's original fresh, never frozen dough. Hand stretched thinner to make 8 extra large slices with your favorite mouth-watering toppings. So hold and fold that slice like a New Yorker. Bigger is better when it comes to pizza. Better ingredients, better pizza. Better get some extra large New York style one topping pizza for only $17.99 at Papa John's.
Bacon or sausage and egg McMuffin? It's a delicious dilemma. But what if you didn't have to choose? The Mighty McMuffin is back with bacon and sausage. Mighty McMuffin, mighty impressive. For a limited time at participating McDonald's in Canada.
The red hot summer savings continue with Fairways to Heaven. Join us as we tee off at Westlock Golf Club, an 18-hole championship course like no other. The front nine features large, undulating greens and wider fairways, while the back nine offers a challenging, more traditional style with tighter fairways and smaller greens. On Monday, August 26th, a twosome can play Westlock for only $70 with Power Cart. That's right, just $70 for you and a friend with cart. Plus, there's still time for everyone to enter this season's grand prize draw for a $1,500 prepaid visa from the Golf Cart people. For details and to reserve your tee time at Westlock, start here. K97fairways.ca. Fairways to Heaven.
And Kruger, Donovan Paulson with you, coming to you live from the EWEL studio, where the real power place to shop at ewell.ca for all your electrical needs. 24/7 ewell.ca is your partner in power. We're brought to you by playalberta.ca as well. Code word summer gets you $50 at the casino with a minimum $5 deposit. Use your game sense. 1-833-401-1440. Lots of quotes coming in here as Declan asked us for our Mount Rushmore of movie quotes We're going to need a bigger boat. Yes, classic from Jaws. I'll be back. Terminator getting a lot of love. So you're saying there's a chance from Dawn at the Lake. Yes, classic. Man, if I had to pay a dime every time I used that line, I'd be living in a cardboard box. Just sitting at the lake, dropping that every 5 minutes. There's a lot of good ones out there, won't you?
When you were a little kid, did you and your friends just hear a movie once and just hammer the lines over and over and over?
I mean, when I was like an adult, like any Will Ferrell movie for a long time.
Old school. We hammered, like, we sounded like we were doing a play of Old School. All we would do is do
quotes.
Yeah. Like
Anchorman.
Doing lines. Anchorman
Well,
was
that
big.
escalated quickly.
Yeah.
You know, that was a big one that we'd say a lot. Last Case of Emotion.
Wedding Crashers. We'd quote that a lot. The Catalina wine mixer.
You wrap it up. No, you wrap it up. Yeah. There's a lot. Keep those coming. We'll get to those as the show progresses here. But right now, we'll get to Mark Spector in the Spec Report, brought to you by GS Construction. They specialize in underground infrastructure. Make sure your life is more enjoyable with running water and indoor plumbing. They are the grinders of construction. It's GS Construction. Mark Spector of Rogers Sportsnet joining us now here on the show. Spec, I hope you had a great weekend. How are you doing today?
Doing awesome. How are you doing?
Yeah, you know what? I really can't complain. The show has gone pretty smoothly, I would think. And we're, a few hours a day at the max away from knowing what the future is for Philip Broberg and for Dylan Holloway. A lot of people texting in with us saying, hey, the Oilers have taken them off their website, but the RFAs for all NHL teams are not on their website roster. So just a little PSA for everyone there. But Spec, let's start with the weekend. Cody Ceci on his way to San Jose with a 2025 third-round pick for Ty Emberson. And then the team on Saturday also acquiring Vasily Podkolzin for a fourth-round pick in 2025. What did you make of the Oilers' moves this weekend and their potential significance?
Well, there's a lot of things to make from it. One of the things I think is interesting is, the Oilers were the oldest team in the league in the playoffs last year. And, they made a move at the draft to get a first-round pick to pick a player that they like. I'm not going to tell you I like him. I've never seen him play. But they got a first-round pick and when they weren't supposed to or scheduled to get one, which I thought was interesting. And then they get into this weekend and, the whole goal here is to not lose your youngest regular forward in Dylan Holloway at age 22 and your youngest regular defenseman, Phil Broberg, at age 23. And at this point, they're in control of that suddenly. They can control if they're going to lose those guys or not. In the meantime, they've added, they traded Cody Ceci to make room. He's 30 years old. They added 24-year-old Ty Emberson. Now, he's only played 30 games. Let's see how good he is. But he's young. And they added a 23-year-old Vasily Podkolzin. So, when teams are trying to win cups, naturally they end up getting older and older and older. I applaud the fact that they've injected some youth into this organization. And they've managed at this point to somehow wrestle control of this double free agent offer sheet. And they have control now. If they want to keep Broberg and Holloway, they can. And 4 or 5 days ago, Connor, I wouldn't have told you that they were going to be in the driver's seat of this thing on Monday afternoon.
Crazy how much can change in a couple of days. So, Spec, do you have an inkling in which direction they might go with the two young Oilers players?
Well, I think you got to think that having traded Ceci, that Broberg is staying here for sure. Now it's a question of Holloway. Do they want, do they feel like with what they have and adding Podkolzin that maybe they can get away with outmatched on Holloway? I don't know that. I'm sure that at this hour, here we are, 5:00 Monday afternoon, the deadline of this thing is about 12 and a half hours away. The Oilers know what they're doing. They haven't announced it. They haven't filed it yet, perhaps, with the NHL. They know what they're doing. I'm telling you, they're going to keep Broberg. That's what it looks like. And Holloway, I guess we're going to wait and find out. It very much looks like they're prepared to keep Holloway too.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, it would be cool to see that happen, keep them both. And then, you worry about whatever the repercussions might be down the road when you got to extend some of these players. But it looks like the Oilers handle their business and giving themselves options with what they might want to do here. Elsewhere around the NHL today, we saw a big trade with Patrik Laine going to the Montreal Canadiens along with a draft pick. What do you think about that fit there with Patrik Laine heading to the mecca of hockey with the Montreal Canadiens?
Well, he's in the fishbowl. He's in the fishbowl for sure. Going from Columbus to Montreal is a big big change. And, so Patrik Laine, there's no wiggle room there to be a highly paid player that's not putting out, a highly paid player that's not productive, a highly paid player who's maybe not giving it everything that they think he can give. They'll eat him alive in Montreal if he's the Patrik Laine we've watched for the last 3 or 4 years, where he's there sometimes and not sometimes. So Patrick's been through his stuff here. He's coming out of rehab, and hopefully for his sake, he's healthy and ready to go. But he's in the frying pan now, pal. Like, there's no half-fassing it if you're Patrik Laine. You're a Montreal Canadian, and the kitchen is hot for him now. It's time to be the excellent player that we've seen him be on occasion. It's time for him to be that all the time.
I mean, and we know he's had, mental health concerns and something he's worked on. And I know he and his partner have come out. They kind of have a new initiative going, which is great to see. Do you think for him that was the biggest problem, resulting in the struggles in Columbus? Is it something that you think that can be corrected and he can return to, that 35 goal scorer we saw from him when he was with the Winnipeg Jets?
I don't know, man. Like, I don't know the guy well enough to say why his game went from, being an unbelievably awesome player in Winnipeg to being a pretty average player in Columbus. Don't ask me what the reasons are. I don't know why, but I just know that it happened. He's a little bit like Pierre-Luc Dubois, isn't he? He's never seemingly happy where he is. He wanted out of Winnipeg. He wanted out of Columbus. Like, when are you going to get happy? So let's hope his mental health is in a state where he can be happy. Let's hope his game's in a state where he'll make his employers happy. And let's hope we all live happily ever after with Patrik Laine. But, he's got 2 strikes on his resume in terms of cities he's in some fashion played his way out of. At some point here, it's got to be up to the player to be the kind of player, to be the performer that the team wants, as opposed to a guy who just shakes his head and says, I want a new team here.
Mark Spector joining us here on Sports 1440. Connor Halley, Wanye Gretz with you here. Spec, just looking at the Edmonton Elks this weekend, big win out in Hamilton, now 3 straight wins, and all of a sudden the playoff picture doesn't seem so far away. Going into this game against the Montreal Alouettes next Sunday, if the Elks do not have Trey Ford, what is your confidence level with McLeod Bethel-Thompson? Because I would say, probably far and beyond, best game of the season this year out in Hamilton, picking up the win.
Yeah, it's a whole lot different playing against the 2-7 Hamilton Tiger Cats and against what's Montreal, 9-1?
I don't know if they're 9-1, but yeah, the top team in the CFL.
There's something like that. The best team in the league. So, Bethel-Thompson had a hell of a game in Hamilton. Give him credit, right? They needed him, and he arrived and showed up and put up 45 points. Got a lot of good field positions from his defense and converted. Didn't just settle for field goals. So take your hat off. Bethel-Thompson gave you by far his best start of the season. But that's against a last place team. Now they're going into the home of a first place team. It's a whole new ball game here. I'm not saying they can't win. I'm just saying it's going to be a hell of a lot harder. You're probably not getting, what did they get from Hamilton? 4 turnovers or something? Mm-hmm. You're likely not getting the ball handed to you nearly as often by the Alouettes as you did by the Tiger Cats. It's going to take another level for the Elks to do it. And I'm not saying they can't do it. Let's see. Like, I'll watch with interest. But I would say to you that, it's a clear step up in opponent pedigree here. They're going to have to play better to pull points out of Montreal.
Yeah, and you're right. 9-1 on the season, only lost game to the Toronto Argonauts back on July 11th. So Montreal doing some great things. Were you surprised at all with Nathan Rourke and the lack of success he had? Obviously, short week in practice, but his return to the CFL.
Yeah, no, I mean, I hope for better. I watched a bunch of that game, and it just goes to show you, running an offense that you haven't been part of forever. The last time he started a football game was something like 2 years. He's been hanging around practice rosters in the NFL and not playing. So it really shouldn't surprise us that he didn't have it. He didn't have any rhythm. He didn't. Him and his receivers had zero chemistry. He looked like a guy that just shook the receiver's hands before the game and said, "Hi, my name's Nathan." So no, I wasn't surprised. I was a little disappointed. I was like everyone else. I'm like, hey, man, let's watch this guy come in and light him up. It ain't that easy. You got to get some reps in. You got to get some practice in. He'll get it. It'll be there. He's not a bad quarterback. He didn't get bad, but it's not as easy as just hopping off a plane and pulling the levers on the CFL offense. I think he just proved it takes more than 2 or 3 days of practice to be successful.
Mark Spector here, joining us on the Jason Gregor Show. Connor Halley, Wanya Gretz with you. Circling back to the Edmonton Oilers, when you look back at Cody Ceci's time with the team, you had a better relationship with him than most, where you actually got a chance to see him on a day-to-day basis. What do you think the legacy for Cody Ceci is with the Oilers?
Well, I always say that players know. Like, players know when a guy's a phony. Players know when a guy's a really good player, even if people outside the room don't think so. And the players had a ton of respect for Cody Ceci, right? They had a ton of respect for him and his game. I know his analytics weren't very good a lot of times, and they played him with Nurse, and their numbers together were poor. And as always happens, they beat him up online, right? Certain guys beat up the player online, and then there's this huge group of sheep followers that just jump in and go, well, if that guy said he sucks, he must suck. And Cody Ceci became the punching bag in this town, and I didn't like that part much. All I know is I saw a guy that was, didn't get a lot of ozone starts, a guy that played, had to play with Nurse a lot, and Nurse had his struggles last year or so. A guy that played a ton of tough minutes, a guy that never played with McDavid's line and not that often with Draisaitl's line. He did all the dirty work, and frankly, Oilers Nation did him dirty a little bit. I thought they were unappreciative of what he brought to the table. I think you'll miss him a little bit when he's gone, and whoever comes into that spot now and has to take all those D-zone ugly starts from Cody Ceci, good luck to you, because it's not always so easy when you have to play with the third and fourth line all the time.
Connor, you had earlier a listing of the Oilers' right side now. Can you rattle off for Spec who we're dealing with?
I believe it was Darnell Nurse. We had Emberson, and was it Stetcher?
Stetcher, yeah. What do you think of that right side, Spec?
Wait a second. Darnell Nurse is a lefty, so he's on the left side. Bouchard's on the right side, right? He's playing with Ekholm. Let's put Broberg with Nurse. Broberg's going to play the right side, even though he's a left shot. And then your fourth line, your third pairing right side guy is going to be Emberson, or it's going to be Josh
Brown.
Brown. Yeah, I think so. It's going to be one of those two guys. So I don't know. I mean, I'd prefer if Broberg was a righty playing on the right side, but he's not. I don't mind Bouchard on the right side much. So I'm not saying it's the best I ever saw in my life, but I don't have a lot of concerns with it. Do you guys?
Well, the list we had didn't have Broberg. And I think it was kind of more of a point to say without Broberg, this right side could be in some trouble. But yeah, I mean, the way you put it out there with Broberg, I'm a lot more comfortable with the group for sure. Because we had people saying, and I think we discussed this last week, you got to find maybe a PTO, whether it's Justin Schultz or Tyson Barrie, someone to be a depth piece there if Broberg were to be, moving on to St. Louis.
Oh, if Broberg leaves, you had to fill that hole for sure. We listed the very first day. We all went on the, Puckpedia and found the free agent unsigned right shot defenseman. And the three guys I liked were Schultz, Tyson Barrie, and Kevin Shattenkirk. So sure, one of those guys has to come to town, or somebody has to come to town if Broberg leaves. But again, I'm looking at the situation. I'll tell you right now, you don't trade Cody Ceci and give up a third if you're not going to match on Broberg, right?
Totally agree. Spec, before we let you go, Declan Kruger's his 5 questions. He's doing the Mount Rushmore theme here. Today he asked us our favorite movie quotes. I won't ask you for 4, but if you had to pick one movie to top your list, does one come to mind?
Does one come to mind? Oh, my favorite movie quote. Does one come to mind? I had always liked Lloyd Christmas. We seem to use that one a lot. You're saying there's a chance? I don't mind that. I think there's always the one from Jaws about needing a bigger boat. That's probably one of the popular ones, right? How about this one? Get your hands off me, you damn dirty ape.
Harry Potter.
Charlton Heston. Come on.
Well, the Apes, a classic. Spec, very well done. I asked for one, but you gave us 3. I put you on the spot, so thank you for that. And we'll talk to you tomorrow, same time.
All right, boys, take care.
See you, Spec. There you go. Mark Spector, Rogers Sportsnet. Joining us from the Jason Gregor, the Spec Report, brought to you by GS Construction. They are hiring. Check them out on Indeed.com and search GS Construction. We'll take a break. I'm going to try to restart my computer. It's just... Can Oilers Nation buy me a new computer?
Hard reboot?
Yeah. It's getting really, really bad here. What am I to do?
What, you got all those love letters to the Chargers coaching staff clogging up your hard drive?
Yeah. And their responses. Stop texting us. Stop emailing us. Just slow me down here. So we'll take a break. I'm going to try to reset this. We'll get back to some of your texts. Norm says, talk to me, Goose. I can see that one.
That's a gooder.
I can see KS saying, maybe MBT needs to be pushed. Let the best QB play, I assume. Can't tell because only half my screen's working. But yeah, that is something for McLeod Bethel Thompson. Maybe he needed a little bit of a push. I do think, though, after those wins with Trey Ford, I think the team's rolling a little bit. I think there's a little more confidence with the entirety of the group here. It's a little easier for MBT to slide in there. The offensive lines really stepped up their game. They're rushing the ball a little bit better, which we know is always going to help out a quarterback. So that could be it too. Little competition never hurt nobody. We'll take a break. When we come back, Kevin Woodley going to join us from In Goal Magazine. He also covers the Vancouver Canucks for NHL.com. Vasily Podkolzin. Why did the Canucks give up on him and send him to the Oilers? And what kind of player is he? Where's he going to fit in this group? We'll find out next on the Jason Gregor Show here on Sports 1440 and Oilers Nation YouTube, Facebook, brought to you by PlayAlberta.ca.
Rule number 12, not spending the afternoon tubing on the Pembina. Next, you're going to tell us you don't wear flannel. Summer in Alberta has its own set of rules. And if you're looking to add a little extra fun, Play Alberta has it all. Use promo code SUMMER to snag a $50 casino bonus for casino, instance, and live dealer with your next deposit. Get ready for promotions throughout the summer to help you make the most of those sunny Alberta days, because we all know they won't last long enough. Bonus terms and conditions apply.
Gather around the radio, kiddies, for the best time of day. It's Oodle Noodle time. Listen in this week as your noodle hero battles the barbarous Bobby Burger. Now sing along. You know the word. Oodle Noodle time. Oodle Noodle time. You know what time it is now. Get up and give me your best Oodle Noodle dance. Your best time of day is Oodle Noodle time.
You've got a go-to coffee spot, a trusted barber, even a lucky game day jersey. But when it's about looking your absolute best, there's only one name you need. Mr. Dirk. Family run since 1939, we're experts in crafting impeccable tailor-made suits and offering a wide variety of everyday styles. Pair that with personalized one-on-one fittings and the convenience of on-site tailoring. Mr. Dirk elevates your style game. Visit our Edmonton store or explore MrDirk.com. Score big on style with Mr. Dirk.
Imagine hitting 13 out of 14 fairways from the tee. It can happen. It does happen with a driver created for you by Fitted Golf. We are the only company in Edmonton who fits for all 9 features of each golf club. Amateurs learn to play like amateurs from amateurs. Come work with our professional team of scientists, engineers, and club builders and get fitted with the clubs designed for one golfer. You visit fittedgolf.ca today. Fitted Golf, where we continue to prove it's your clubs.
Get a great night's sleep during the final weekend of the Bricks Summer Sleep Event. Take up to 50% off mattresses, up to $1,200 off sleeper sectionals, and buy more, save more, up to 25% off bedroom and dining furniture. Plus, shop amazing deals in other departments, like up to 20% off outdoor furniture and up to 25% off home entertainment furniture and fireplaces. You won't want to sleep through these fantastic prices. Some exclusions apply. See in store for details. The Brick, saving you more.
Well, studio here in West Edmonton Mall. Come on by, say hello, give us a wave. Fix your hair in our glass window door mirror things that a lot of people seem to do. We stare at them while they do it, but got to be looking good when you come to the mall.
Got to look fresh.
If you want to keep on walking K-Rock, K97 right beside us, They kind of have actually like a chromed out window door thing, so you can see yourself better. But people still like to use our windows to fix themselves up. Look good for them all.
You can also keep going further down the hallway and go to Bubba Gump Shrimp.
Well, you want to look good for that.
You got to look good.
You fix yourself up, then you make the walk to Bubba Gump's.
If you take a date to Bubba Gump Shrimp, there is a 100% chance you will get married in the next 6 months. It's the Bubba Gump guarantee.
Get the fried chicken. It's so good.
No, get the shrimp. Like they were talking about on the bus. Him and Bubba.
Or keep on walking, go down to McDonald's.
Turn around and come back to Bubba Gump Shrimp.
Get a sundae and a cone for $1 or $2. 1-833-401-1440. Get those questions into the EWL inbox. Right now, we are going to be joined by Kevin Woodley of In Goal Magazine, as well as NHL.com. He covers the Canucks for NHL.com and covers goaltending with In Goal Magazine better than anyone out there. Kevin, good afternoon. How are you doing?
I'm good. My last Bubba Gump experience, sadly gone now, Lahaina waterfront in Maui. And interestingly enough, it was right ahead with a bunch of friends, right ahead of getting married in Maui 22 plus years ago. So haven't been back. That's not a statement on the food, just lack of opportunity. But yeah, that's maybe you're right. Maybe there's something about getting married after a meal at Bubba Gump's.
I knew it. I knew you'd been there, Kevin.
You're on to something right there. And I got to say, too, like West Edmonton Mall, speaking of places I've been, but not very often, a couple of years ago was with my daughter's volleyball team was there for volleyball nationals. And I was very close, speaking of Hawaii, to testing out that wave pool and seeing if we could do a little surfing. But my daughter was just mortified I was going to do that in front of her teammates. So I decided not to completely embarrass the teenager.
Next time you're in Edmonton, we'll have you in studio. Then we'll go get some Bubba Gumps, and then we'll take the walk down to the water park and get you your revenge on that wave pool.
I think we'll have to do the wave first because I'm thinking a meal at Bubba Gump's. You're not throwing the swimsuit on right after.
That's a good point.
You guys are making big promises here, and I don't want this to be like the time I thought I was going to go fishing when I was 6 and my dad never came to get me. That's not true. That's a fake story. But don't pretend we're going to Bubba Gump Shrimp unless we are.
Open-ended offer for pretty much everyone. Whenever someone wants to come by here and we'll go to Bubba's, well, maybe we'll do the water park first. It's a good point from Kevin. Fatherly instinct there. Well, good movement. Okay, let's get to what we brought you on here for, and we're going to talk goaltending in the NHL as well. But like I said, you do cover the Vancouver Canucks and do so very well with NHL.com, and they made a trade over the weekend. Vasily Podkolzin to the Edmonton Oilers for a 4th-round pick in 2025. What can we expect from Podkolzin? I mean, we know the resume. He was drafted very early. He was highly touted. Why were the Vancouver Canucks ready to make the move on from him?
Well, 2 parts. The first part, in terms of why they were ready to move on, I actually talked to Patrik Laine, general manager of the Canucks, this afternoon for just get some quotes for an NHL.com sort of 3-part series that they run 32 and 32 in the month of August. So asked him off the top about that, and he talked about wanting to give him an opportunity. And I think the reality was that the writing on the wall was such that it wasn't going to be here. When you look at the moves that Vancouver made this offseason, yeah, they lost Zadorov and they lost Lindholm. They got thinner up the middle, but pretty much all they've done is bring in a bunch of, like, they replaced the 2 D guys they lost, and they brought in a bunch of wingers, right? Like right up to the Daniel Sprong signing earlier this month. There just wasn't any room for Vasily Podkolzin on the wing here in Vancouver. And given the fact that he required waivers, I think they felt that there was a good chance they would lose him. And so much as they did last year with Sam Lafferty in terms of, hey, here's a guy going on waivers that's probably going to get picked up. We'll give up a 4th-round pick to bring him to Vancouver. They made Podkolzin available, and obviously Edmonton jumped. What the Oilers get in Podkolzin is a really good, strong, hardworking, can forecheck, will grind away, defensively responsible. Like, there's a ton there. The only thing that hasn't really happened for him is finish. He scored the 14 as a rookie, but even when he gets chances, he feels like a guy, and this is ironic because the Canucks basically lived and died on shooting percentages last year, and career bests and really high percentages for most guys. Podkolzin just can't seem to find that, and so it really has been about finish. When he does get opportunities, it just feels like he needs a bucket full of them to put the puck in the net. And with where this team is at, with the moves they made on the wing to sort of upgrade the options, especially up in the top 6 alongside Pettersson, and how that pushed other guys down the depth chart. With some of the guys they have coming behind him that saw playoff action, he did too, but some ahead of him, before him. You think of like Linus Karlsson and guys like that have, I don't want to say passed, but they obviously see a little more offensive upside there. So this was sort of just, a guy that is right there, but they didn't see him making this team in September. And so get something for him rather than lose him for nothing. And I do believe Allvin when he says, because what you will find when you watch Vasily Podkolzin, like, this guy grinds, this guy works. He's determined to be an NHL player. He just became a father last year, young father. Like, making it and sticking is such a big thing for him. And he wouldn't have had that opportunity here. Hopefully gets a chance to do it in Edmonton. Because I think defensively too, the way the Oilers, buckled down and were so much better after the coaching change last year. I think there's a guy that could fit there.
Now, I mean, would you say he's got that high-end upside? Because, I've heard good things about the ability to finish. We just haven't really seen it. A nice release. Could he be a guy who could pinch up there if needed? And at the same time, like you said, he's got that desire. Could he be a bottom 6 guy as well? Like, where do you think the ideal spot for him would be on a lineup as deep as the Oilers are up front?
Well, I think they obviously here in Vancouver, they didn't see, that top 6 upside. He does have a good shot, but doesn't get it often, get it away very often. And it felt like he owned the middle of the logo, right? Like just not a lot of sort of that elite finishing talent. We didn't, and I think this sort of, we saw signs of this even before he came over. So, and he did have the one sort of the rookie year here that was so promising. So maybe it is still there. And maybe when the setups are as elite as they tend to be, when you're running McDavid or Draisaitl out there, maybe that finish will come. Maybe that confidence will come. Maybe that's all that's missing. But from what we saw here in Vancouver, I think probably more likely in a bottom 6 role, a guy you can trust defensively, a guy who can help you on the forecheck, help you hold pucks down low. And like I said, maybe with the right line mates, maybe he can create opportunities for other guys just by being able to sort of win some of those battles, come away with pucks. And the Oilers cycle the puck so well throughout their lineup that maybe he'll be a better fit there. And maybe he'll find some of that confidence and finish there that was lacking here.
Kevin Woodley, Goal Magazine, joining us here on the Jason Gregor Show. You're on Sports 1440 and the Oilers Nation YouTube and Facebook. A bit of a surprise here at the trade request out of Nashville with Askarov. And, I think a lot of people had high hopes for him when he was drafted, but UC Saros gets the extension. And maybe for him, he's looking for that opportunity to go elsewhere. What did you think when you heard this deal or this request? And do you think there's a deal out there to be made?
Yeah. I mean, the catch is, like, we're heading into a time like a month from now as training camps start to break and guys start getting sent to the minors. Like, there are going to be a lot of really good options with more NHL experience than Askarov on waivers. And I know teams that, look at some of those guys and they're like, man, we could really use them on our depth chart. But if we pick them, we got to keep them in the NHL. And that's kind of the word that's out there on Askarov right now. Like, if you trade for him, and this is out there that he doesn't want to go to their minor league team. And maybe if the runway or the opportunity seems greater in another organization, maybe he would change his mind on another team in the short term. But the catch right now seems to be you have to keep him in the National Hockey League. And, at a time when teams are pretty much set, I mean, ironically, I would say Predators backup last year, Kevin Lankin, is another guy that, like, is absolutely an NHL goalie. And in my mind, a guy who's ready to pop in the NHL. He doesn't even have a job. And he's looking now, I know he's been in touch with, and the teams have been in touch with him about number 3 spots. So where do you fit? If everybody feels their depth chart or feels that good about their depth chart, where do you fit him in making this trade right now? Even though he doesn't require waivers to go down, if he's not going to report, that's a problem. And that may make it more difficult to move him unless his camp lets it be known that, hey, in another opportunity, present us the right opportunity and we will come to camp and we will go to the American Hockey League in the short term if that's what we see. I've never been as big on the upside of Askarov before he was drafted as others were. There's a ton of talent, footwork, like incredible down low. But it was the hands to me that I had questions about. And I'll be fully honest, I haven't watched enough American Hockey League to see how far it's come along. A lot of people think of that as glove, but to me, it's blocker. And it's, do you use your stick along the ice to control plays or control pucks? To me, when he was coming over and coming up, just everything was off the pads and back into the middle of the ice. And you can get away with that overseas, but you can't in the NHL where everything funnels to the front of the net. And that's just, those second opportunities become things that other teams look for and become things that increasingly teams convert against you. So, and the other thing is, like, he's had some good runs down there, and yet in both playoffs, if I'm not mistaken, started but didn't finish playoff runs for Milwaukee, and at times ended up watching from the bench as guys who, again, more experienced but less pedigree, more in that journeyman mold, end up playing ahead of him. So I think for all the talent that's there, and there's undeniably a lot of it, there are still some question marks. And you add those question marks to the fact that you got to put them on an NHL roster, it seems, and that becomes a much tougher thing to move. And if you're the Predators, you spend a first-round pick on them, so you're not giving them away, right? So this is a bit of a tough spot for them. I'll be curious to see, how they handle it. Not just the Saros extension, which I love, but bringing in Scott Wedgwood as the backup, letting Kevin Lankinen go despite having really good adjusted numbers for the past couple of seasons. And now this, you wonder, in a league where you need more than two, you wonder where this leaves them if they're forced to make this trade.
Kevin Woodley joining us here on the Jason Gregor Show. Connor Halley sitting in. Woodley, of course, with In Goal Magazine and NHL.com. Just one last question for you, because we're all about RFAs here in Edmonton now. Of course, you know what's going on. Out in Boston, similar situation with Jeremy Swayman. And I just want to put out the PSA that if you're an RFA, you're not going to be listed on the NHL's website for the team roster, because Oilers fans, a little panic there. Just looked, Jeremy Swayman, not on Boston's roster, but he is still an RFA. So how do you think this situation gets settled with Swayman and the Bruins?
Well, I don't know that the Bruins have a whole lot of choice here, but to make a deal. The depth chart obviously took a hit when they let Linus Ullmark go. I am a big Jeremy Swayman believer. But again, we've talked about this, right? Like, they traded away Linus Ullmark. And I know Swayman was fantastic in the playoffs. He had a great year. But in the regular season, his adjusted save percentage was actually slightly below Linus Ullmark. So Linus didn't fall off the cliff as much as other people thought. They were both excellent goalies last year. So you lose that. And now you're going to need Swayman to play more, which means you're going to need him ready for training camp. And I believe that Jeremy Swayman, because this is part of what I love about the kid, like no stone unturned, whatever needs to be done, he will do it. And he will do it to the nth degree to make sure he's ready for the season. But what you can't make up is missed opportunities to get reps at an NHL level if training camp starts without him, to get shots from NHL opponents if the preseason starts without him. Given the question marks, given and I don't say lack of depth, because they've got options behind him, but they're not at that elite level. And this is a team that last year, especially after for years being this great defensive team with Bergeron leading that charge, they leaned more heavily on their goaltenders last year. And so to throw the other guys into the fire and ask too much of them early on, I just think this is a deal. I'm not saying I've heard anything about it not getting done, but this is a deal that Boston needs to get done, and needs to get done, not just before the start of the season, but I would argue at least in training camp and well before the preseason starts, because it's really hard to play catch up as a goaltender when you don't get those reps in at the start of the season. It's like, hopping into I'm terrible with car analogies, but it's like hopping onto in the middle of an Indy race and you're standing still. There's no running start, and it can do things with your confidence, with your timing, with your rhythm, with just a lot of different elements that goalies get an opportunity to work through in both the training camp and through the preseason, even if it's just 2.5 starts for most NHL number ones. And not having those opportunities, I think you just put yourself behind the 8 ball and risk a slow start for him at a time when he's going to be leaned on, and presumably once a contract is signed, under a lot of pressure to deliver in an elite level.
Be interesting for sure. But it's just not a good situation for anyone. A position so important to have them come in late to camp, or whatever it might be. Not necessarily a great recipe for winning. So I feel like the Bruins are going to handle that. They seem like a franchise that know the importance of it. And we'll see how it plays out, though. Kevin, thanks so much for doing this today. Really appreciate it. And Again, the offer stands. Next time you're in town, water park, Bubba Gumps.
Well, all I got to say is I'm looking forward to seeing the pictures that you guys are going to send me after you get off the air of both surfing and Bubba Gumps. What's on the plate this evening?
Good times ahead. Thanks, Kevin.
Thank you.
There you go. Kevin Woodley, In Goal Magazine and NHL.com joins us every Monday at 5:20, talking tendies.
I would never have guessed Kevin had a kid old enough to be at the national volleyball at the mall. Would you?
No, but I remember when it happened. So I did know about this. But yeah, I never would have guessed it. He's so youthful.
Too youthful. Looking at goalies all the time keeps someone young.
Never does. We should all take a little more look at goaltenders. So when we come back, we'll get to the oil report. We'll wrap this show up and hand things over to Turn Sports from 6 till 9 tonight. It is the Jason Gregor Show here on Sports 1440 and Oilers Nation YouTube, Facebook, brought to you by PlayAlberta.ca.
A premier hockey solution with a clear path for long-term development is proud to be entering its 8th season of independent borderless hockey, featuring provincial and cross-province competition with showcase style, regular season gameplay, and a strong commitment to individual skill development. It's an attractive option for those seeking family life balance. The Hockey Super League offers opportunities for both male and female athletes born between 2011 and 2016. Visit hockeysuperleague.com for more information.
You got a go-to coffee spot, a trusted barber, even a lucky game day jersey. But when it's about looking your absolute best, there's only one name you need. Mr. Dirk. Family run since 1939. We're experts in crafting impeccable tailor-made suits and offering a wide variety of everyday styles. Pair that with personalized one-on-one fittings and the convenience of on-site tailoring. Mr. Dirk elevates your style game. Visit our Edmonton store or explore MrDirk.com. Score big on style with Mr. Dirk.
Modern Air and Water is your source for AC, furnace, duct cleaning, and water purification systems. Get a 12-year parts and labor warranty and save up to $2,500 on the complete new system. Contact your Lennox Premier dealer at modernairwater.com.
Move Water is your one-stop shop for all things water. From freshwater to wastewater, we've got the pumps and solutions to keep your water moving where it matters most.
Move Water, your water solution experts.
Visit movewater.ca today.
Bacon or sausage and egg McMuffin? It's a delicious dilemma. But what if you didn't have to choose? The Mighty McMuffin is back with bacon and sausage. Mighty McMuffin, mighty impressive. For a limited time at participating McDonald's in Canada.
I'm Rick Showers from No Bull RV. Anything that's exposed to the elements or has moving parts needs regular maintenance. And when you consider an RV, well, it falls into both categories. Lots of moving parts and sitting out all the time, which is why we hire the best RV technicians in Alberta to come work here at our new, bigger store in Leduc.
Noble has giant indoor service space that can hold the biggest RVs in the world.
That's right, Bob. The vast majority of our indoor space at No Bull is dedicated to service and repair. You spend the summer in the great outdoors, and we spend the winter doing scheduled maintenance, so you're ready to go next season.
Sounds like a year-round thing, Rick.
That's it exactly, Bob. Our techs are the most highly experienced men and women in the business. We're solving problems and creating solutions every day. Whatever your used RV needs, our service team has seen it before and knows exactly what to do.
And that's No Bull.
NoBullRV.ca.
Pirates. We got Declan Kruger and Donovan Paulson with you here, live from the EWEL studio here in West Edmonton Mall right now. Let's jump right into it. The Oil Report brought to you by Volvo Cars Edmonton. The Midsummer event is on now. You can lease a Volvo 2024 XC90 for 0% at Canada's #1 Volvo dealership, volvocarsedmonton.com. Of course, the news over the weekend, Cody Ceci to San Jose along with a 2025 third-round pick for defenseman Ty Emberson. Ty Emberson spent some time with Coach Knobloch with the Hartford Wolfpack in the AHL. He was voted as the top shutdown defenseman in that league's Eastern Conference that season. Also spent some time with Dylan Holloway at the University of Wisconsin. Go Badgers. He was the captain. And then the team also acquired Vasily Podkolzin from the Vancouver Canucks for a 2025 fourth-round pick. And now we're just waiting on the news with Dylan Holloway and Philip Broberg, and we'll see what happens there. St. Louis Blues of the offer sheets. We wait and see what actually will happen, hopefully sooner than later. Kyle texting into the EWEL inbox, 1-833-401-1440. Broberg and Holloway presented with offer sheets from St. Louis. Did they have to accept those by obligation since presented, or do they have a choice to refuse them from Kyle? They can say no. They don't have to sign it.
They would never say no, but they could say no.
You could say no. Like if you were so pot committed to staying in Edmonton, they could have said, nah, we're good. I deep down feel like Dylan Holloway's camp thought that the Oilers would match quick. Maybe they still will. If you're Philip Broberg, that pay raise, from reports, he wanted $1.8 million to stay in Edmonton. They offered 4.5.
What's better, 4.5 or 1.8?
Most would say 4.5.
Is that right? Yeah.
The chance to win a Stanley Cup would be increased in Edmonton, but the chance to get paid like that, increased in St. Louis. Now, the Oilers can keep Philip Broberg, and then some might say best of both worlds. We had some people saying, well, the vets in the room maybe look at him for cashing in while other players take mins. No, I don't think so. I do think there will be jokes. What do they call him? Broby? Broby, you're buying dinner. But I think that's where it ends. Now go play 18 minutes of good hockey and get better every game and be ready to duplicate and improve upon what you did in the Stanley Cup final, and they'll be happy.
Just rewinding back to confirm what you said, the new defenseman was the top shutdown D in the Eastern Conference of the AHL under Knobloch.
Yeah.
You never know what Coach Knobloch knows, man. Sometimes you get a guy in that has a really good rapport like that.
I tweeted it out that like, oh yeah, he was playing under Coach Knobloch with the Hartford Wolfpack. And then Alex Thomas, who is the Hartford Wolfpack play-by-play, DM'd me on Twitter and said, also, just so you know, Emerson was voted by the PHPA as the best shutdown D in the Eastern Conference that season.
You get good DMs.
Sometimes.
All I get are robots trying to sell me NFTs.
Well, those could be financially prosperous as well. I don't get that. I get
you get
good
insider info
and like random questions from people.
Shutdown D are never valued. And when they're on their come up, I think they're often undervalued. So you never know getting a guy like that in here who's already performed well under Knobloch. That might be a cunning move.
We'll see. I mean, hey, we like Cody Ceci. We're pro Ceci on this show. But a lot of people will say just by moving on from his contract, you won the deal. Costs you a draft pick as well. You had to send a third-round pick in 2025. Could recoup that. If Dylan Holloway walks, you get that pick right back. Maybe that's part of their thinking. But if this guy has any signs of upside, it could work out to be pretty nice. We'll see. I don't know enough about prospects. Maybe we got to get someone on to discuss him.
I went to a Hartford Wolfpack game once, Connor.
Connecticut.
Yep. Went to Hartford for real. Took a train from New York. Went to the game. My friend who was playing for the Wolfpack scored. We went out, and I stole a bottle of Goldschlager from a club in Hartford. And that's the end of that story.
Nothing else happened after that, I'm sure.
Walked around with it.
Do they still make
beautiful?
Do they still make Goldschlager?
I just reached over the well. These were in my bottle stealing days. I said, this is the one. And then I got outside the bar and went, oh no, Goldschlager. Why would they put that in the well? That's Hartford for you.
My family, that was like a Christmas tradition for us. Kind of a little shot of Goldschlager every Christmas. Gold flakes.
I can remember thinking it's crazy that there's gold in this drink. Then I found out it isn't actual gold.
And I don't know if it was true, but people said that they would like help like get into your bloodstream. Flakes.
Really?
Yeah.
Not Hartford Goldschlager. That's different stuff.
Tiger texted it, please, Connor, before you wrap up, remind everyone that Ceci has a sister named BB and another sister named DD.
No, he doesn't. DD Ceci? This is coming to light now?
You keep talking.
It doesn't look like this is true.
Oh,
Okay.
Tiger,
you rascal. It could be true. Declan, you non-believer in Ceci.
It could be. It was a pretty quick research on my end, but it's looking like that is not the case.
He does have a sister named Chelsea.
One of my favorite tweets of all time, Connor, and all you have to do is make yourself laugh. Someone said, what does Ceci stand for? And I said, Cody. And that is hilarious to me.
Do you remember back in the day when there was rumors of a Taylor Hall trade involving Cody Ceci?
No.
Yeah. For me, with Ottawa.
Look at us. We had our cake and ate it too.
Perfect.
You asking Spec what Ceci's legacy was? That was going to be my question too. I think it's a fair question.
You know, like people like you hear legacy and you're like, it has to be a good one. It's just like, maybe it wasn't. What's your perspective? I thought he came in here and I thought for what was asked of him, he did a pretty good job. People wanted he was a whipping boy for a lot, but I thought all in all, like good run with this team.
I mean, he had his moments where he was great. He had his moments where obviously he left a little bit to be desired, but clutch playoff goals really make a fan out of your old pal Wanye. If you can score a playoff goal like he did, Mr. Game 7, that buys you a lot of leash in the regular season with me.
Frithie texted in. Eyes closed, head first, can't lose. Jake Peralta, Brooklyn 99. Just recently finished that whole show. Very good. Recommend those. The episode where Wench passes away and Captain Holt has to do the funeral. Hilarious. If you're a Brooklyn 99 fan.
How do we get you to watch The Matrix, Connor? What needs to happen?
Bring me the DVD.
Little Bubba Gump shrimp to go platter?
That'll do it.
You're on your way.
That'll be it for us here on the show. Big thank you to everyone who tuned in and joined us on the program today. If you missed anything, make sure you check out the podcast section wherever you get your podcasts from. For Declan Kruger, Donovan Paulson, Wanya Gretz, I'm Connor Halley. We'll be back again tomorrow at 2 o'clock to do it all over again. Up next is another edition of Turn Sports. Right now, let's get to a Sports 1440 update brought to you by Rhoda Exclusive, an exclusive membership with luxury assets such as magnificent holiday properties, a Lamborghini, a Ferrari, boats, and more. Travel, drive, and relax in style. Join now at RhodaExclusive.com. Limited openings.
Good. This is a Sports 1440 update.
And for your Sports 1440 update, 3 games in action in the majors. Diamondbacks leading the Marlins 5-1. Reds and Jays tied at 1-1 in the bottom of the third. And the Mets leading the Orioles 2-0 in the top of the third. Getting going in about 10 minutes time here, we will see the Pirates and Rangers. Then a little later on, Angels and Royals, Red Sox and Astros, and some of the late games in the MLB tonight, Twins and Padres, Rays and Athletics, White Sox and Giants, and the late game, Mariners in LA to take on the Dodgers. News out of the hockey world is Patrik Laine and a second-round pick in 2026 have been traded to the Montreal Canadiens for Jordan Harris. CFL news is the Montreal Alouettes are bringing back star wide receiver Austin Mack after his NFL stint, and the Hamilton Tiger Cats have officially hired former Elks coach and GM Chris Jones as a senior defensive assistant. NFL news around the league is the Commanders have officially named Jaden Daniels their starting quarterback. Colt McCoy has retired after 12 years and will enter the TV booth this fall, and the Atlanta Falcons will be holding out Michael Penix Jr. from their preseason finale. One final piece of news from the Premier League earlier today was Leicester City and Tottenham drawing 1-1. That's going to do it for us here on the Jason Gregor Show. Up next is Turn Sports, Fox Sports Radio at 9. The Kevin Carrier Show with Brandon Douglas tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. On behalf of Wanya Garretts, Donovan Paulson, and Connor Halley, I'm Declan Kruger, and this has been a Sports 1440 update.
It's Sports 1440.